Hey everyone, today is Thursday, the 2nd of July, 2020. This is The Gap, episode 523. I'm Luke Lawrie. Joab Gilroy is here, and we are officially more than halfway through the year, Joab. Can you believe there's still halfway to go in this shit fest of a year?
Yeah, this continues. It persists. What's it like over there? It must be the middle of summer. Is it hot?
It's 4th of July this weekend, so there's usually...
That, or are you gonna fucking stay inside? Is it going to be fireworks?
Oh no, there's fireworks constantly, all the time over here. You haven't heard about this? Probably not.
No.
There's basically fireworks going off at all hours of the night over here. And there seems to be a recurring theme between a lot of different cities right now. And there's like a bunch of conspiracy theories going around as to who's causing them, like what is actually going on.
Right.
Like one of the biggest ones is that it's the police that are doing it.
It's the police doing it to what? Tire people out so they can't protest or something.
Yeah, things like that.
Holy shit. That's fucking bananas.
But yeah, you can literally, like, without fail, every night between 8 p.m. till, I don't know, 3 in the morning, maybe sometimes when I'm still up, like fireworks just throughout the night. All the time. It's every single night.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
See, I don't think that'd go down here in Australia. I don't think it'd work, right? Because I think it only works in America because, you got to be afraid that someone might have a fucking gun.
Yeah.
Right? There's a decent chance someone's going to have a gun. But, like, here in Australia, I just go, like, tell people to shut the fuck up. Like, well, no, like, without the fireworks.
Yeah.
Like, when they're having loud parties and stuff, if it cracks on past midnight, I'm like, take it inside. Just take it inside. All you have to do is take it inside. Everyone can hear you. And they were like, oh, yeah, fair enough. And they do it, or they don't do it. And I yell at them until they do it. And because they don't, like, if you yell at them enough, they just don't want to be outside anymore because there's someone yelling at them, right? It's an easy fix. I remember one time there was a dude who got home, like, rammed on coke. Like, you could tell. The moment I saw him, he was fucking hammering on coke. And he starts playing this fucking, like, D&B at full volume on his sound system at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was 6 floors below me and across the other side of the building from me, and I could hear it. Like, it woke me up. So I went down floor by floor until I found the door. And I start hammering on the door. And this dude, like, opens up and his fucking eyes are wide. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, turn your fucking music down or I'll come in there and I'll break it. And he's like, oh, is it a bit loud? I'm like, yeah, cunt, it's fucking loud. And, like, I had to yell in general because of how fucking loud it was. So he goes and turns it down. Holy shit, he got evicted later that week for the noise. Apparently other people just, complained to the strata or whatever. But no, I was going to fucking murder him. I was because I don't know what it is. Like, just being woken up by anything is just the worst thing in the world to me. I get angry at my own bladder when I have to pee in the night. I'm like, fuck this. You are fucking dead. You know what? Just for that, I'm going to drink too much calcium and get a fucking kidney stone, you fuckhole. And we'll see who's fucking laughing then.
Yeah. That sounds like fun.
It wouldn't work in America. I'd be dead. I would be a dead person in America. Like,
I mean, it's not... I mean, they're not like super loud. You just kind of hear them every once in a while going off. It's not like they're happening in the back of my street. They're just sort of somewhere nearby.
If it was in the back of your street and you did go and say, what the fuck are you doing? Right? Yeah. They might just have a gun and just blap you. They might just be like, blah, blah, blah. You'd be like, all right, I'm in America. My bad. I forgot. Yeah. That's fucked, man.
Yeah.
So extra fireworks this weekend then.
Well, so that's the one conspiracy theory is that it's the police that are doing it. Like, there was some videos going around of I don't know where it was, but of fireworks going off like behind a police precinct or inside of one, and that's where I think
Right.
maybe people were like, "Oh, this is what's doing it." Um, the other theory going around is that a bunch of people bought them for 4th of July, but they're not able to use it, so they've just been letting them off like every night. I don't know about that one. That's just weird, because it is constantly every single night, a couple of times, just
Mm.
all over the place, like different directions, all like everywhere. It's just so strange. Um, so yeah, and on top of that, I think like things are pretty bad here in terms of the COVID-19 situation. I think yesterday
Uh-huh.
or even today is like our highest daily confirmed case rate since this all started, um, by a lot, and a lot of counties are sort of going in back into lockdown. Like they're shutting down businesses again, restaurants, because we've sort of been in this phase system where certain things are opening up. San Francisco's okay at this stage, but
Yeah.
there's places in California that are going back into lockdown, closing restaurants, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's getting pretty bad over here. It's I think it's worse than what it was when we started in March at this stage. I have not been outside my neighborhood in since March. I
Yeah.
haven't left. Like I go
Sad.
to the shopping center.
Yeah.
Um, I go. We play tennis a couple times a week.
Right.
We used to go walking. We've shifted from walking around to tennis because there's too many fucking people around.
Sure.
Yeah, so I've not left my neighborhood since March. Like, there's definitely people, at least in my neighborhood, I would say 95% of people are wearing masks. Most of the stores you as far as I'm aware, you can't go into without a mask. It's
Yeah.
mandatory here to wear them in the streets. Like, there's places that are definitely trying to do things about it. But then there's places that are just fucking ridiculous. Like, I'm not gonna wear a mask because you're, you know, it's my freedom to do whatever I want type shit. And those people
So
are
dumb.
fucking morons. Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I think where I'm at in San Francisco is not too bad, like in terms of
Right.
that stuff, but it's just everywhere else around here is just fucked. It's a nightmare. It's
Mm.
not good. So yeah, 4th of July I think is for the most part cancelled in these parts. There's not
Yeah.
much
Right.
going on. Yeah. So I'll give you some updates on the I guess the fireworks situation as we go, but this has been a constant thing for about 3 weeks now. It's nuts.
That's fucking
Yeah.
dumb. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Shit, eh? Well, on to other things. I took the challenge set by Fridge Monster Man
Okay.
to create a dish using barbecue sauce as the base. I passed the dish, and I made it.
Right.
But I wound up using rice because my wife had pasta for lunch.
Hmm.
And so I posted it in our Discord channel. So it's basically a sous vide chicken breast in
Okay.
barbecue sauce, anchovy paste, pineapple juice, and some hot sauce. And then sous vide that at 62 degrees. And then once that finished, I grilled some pineapple, some
Hmm.
capsicum, and cooked up the rest of the barbecue sauce and put it in a bowl. And it was supposed to have pasta, but we had it with rice. And when I ate it, I realized that what I had created, what I had quote unquote invented, was essentially a like a Hawaiian rice bowl.
Right.
Yeah,
Like a poke bowl.
like yeah, sort of. You know, not like a poke bowl in that those have like salmon and stuff. Like
Yeah.
more like that there's definitely like a chicken joint in the States that is Hawaiian themed. I can't remember what it's
Right.
called.
Yeah.
But like one they would do there. Yeah.
Okay.
Like a barbecue chicken poke bowl. And yeah, so that sort of took the fucking wind out of my sails, but it was fucking delicious. It was spectacular. And it used barbecue sauce. So I'm counting it as a win because it did definitely work with pasta instead
Mm.
of fucking rice. Yeah, just a quick update on the old cooking challenge. I also, speaking of cooking, went down to Bunnings and I bought a propane torch.
Okay, fair enough.
so I could cook steak.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest with you, I cannot believe I've been doing steak any other fucking way. This is the shit. I went and bought some nice steak and cooked it sous vide. I cook everything sous vide. I also, when I grilled the pineapple and capsicum, I used the fucking blowtorch because now everything I cook is either sous vide or blowtorch. But anyway, cooked it sous vide, 54 degrees for 2 hours, and then I took it out to the barbecue, and instead of turning the barbecue on, I just turned the fucking blowtorch on and blowtorched that motherfucker. And it was phenomenal. Like spectacular shit. It was so fucking good. It was like the best sear I've ever had on a fucking steak. And the crazy part was, like, normally when you sear the steak after a sous vide, because it's been like the trick of sous vide is it holds it at 54 degrees for the entire length, right? So 54 degrees is the perfect like rare side of medium rare for steak. So it is like edge to edge, it is medium rare, right? Like pink all the way through.
Mhm.
Normally, if you do it like in other ways, if you like were to sort of eyeball it in the frying pan or something, you'd have like a couple of millimeters of overcooked steak, and then it would go through, and the middle is the pink rare, but this
Mhm.
is just from edge to edge, perfect rare. And normally, if you when you finish it on the barbecue, um, you get a couple, like not as much as you would normally, but like a couple of millimeters of overcooked steak because of the process of cooking it on the barbecue. It requires time, but because the blowtorch is like fucking bang, like done, like no need. So it was literally seared on the outside, perfect throughout. It was the fucking best, and I cannot believe I haven't done this before. People were like, "Why don't you go to Victoria's basement and buy like a restaurant blowtorch?"
Mm.
I'm like, Google how much they cost, $150, and they always use these special fucking, you can only buy them from restaurant supplier fucking gas cans with their proprietary heads. Or, so those are like $30 a pop. Or I go down to fucking Bunnings, buy just a propane torch and some bottles of propane, and I just fucking done. I did spring for the and like now the bottles of propane are like $13. I did spring for a self-igniting gas torch head,
Mhm.
right? Because you can get a manual ignition one where you get like a sparker to start the fucking gas. But I I don't think of myself as a goofy cunt, except when my parts are on the line, and then I'm like, look, I don't think I'm a goofy cunt, but I wouldn't bet my life on the fact that I'm not a goofy cunt. You
Mm.
know, like, if the chips are down and you're like, "Hey, gun to your head, Job, are you a goofy cunt or not a goofy cunt?" And my options were to, I don't know, fucking flawlessly Jackie Chan disarm a motherfucker, uh, at the price of getting shot in the head, or just say I'm a goofy cunt. I would say I'm a goofy cunt, right? That's all I'm saying. So I didn't want to do manual ignition because I figured I'd fuck it up. Set something on fire. I did set my barbecue on fire, so like
I mean,
it's
barbecues are meant to be set on fire, so I think
not
that's
like this
fine.
though. Not like this though. That's the thing.
Oh, you mean like a
Uh,
bonfire?
yes. It was remarkably similar to a bonfire, yes. Um, but yeah, anyway. So yeah, it's been a big week for cooking shit in the
Mm.
old Jobo household. And yeah, I'm excited to see where this new blowtorch adventure takes me. So yeah, I've used it 2 nights out in a row so far. I'm not sure how I'm gonna make it work
Right.
the
What
3rd
about
night.
desserts and things like that, where you gotta
Oh, like
like
the fucking
on top?
The creme brulee torch.
Yeah.
Well, I think it might be a bit harsh for the old creme brulee. It's not that adjustable. Like
Well, no, you
it's
just
kind
hold
of
the
got
back a bit further.
oh, you just fucking just like I just have to stand on the other side of the fucking room and get
Yeah,
my wife to hold the fucking creme brulee up on the side so I can get it. Um. Anyway, good times. Good times.
absolutely. This is a video game podcast, Joe. If people are not
Yeah.
familiar,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we like to sidetrack. Shall we
Uh,
talk about some games then?
let's do it.
There's I don't think there's much new on this list. This list I'm looking at looks pretty um lot of old games. There's not really a lot coming out right now. There's obviously the big Steam sale that's happening, um, which is running for I think another week or so. I think it's just over a week at this stage,
Y-
and
Yep.
I don't know, for someone like me who has generally picks up a lot of games as we go along anyway. There's not
Mm.
usually a lot on that list that I'm like, oh, I need to grab that. It tends to be games that I want to check out, but I'm like, oh, I'll wait for them to go on sale, and then
Yeah.
I'll go get them that stage, and we'll see. So there's definitely been a couple that I've picked up over the last
Mm.
week, and I'm sure I'll be going through a bunch of them over the next couple of weeks, and we'll get onto that. But what about you? Have you managed to pick anything up during sales?
Uh, the only one I really picked up, I guess we did grab the Hunter Call of the Wild last week,
Yeah.
um, and we'll play that, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But no, Audica was the main one I think I grabbed.
Right.
I have grabbed a couple of other games, Pummel Party and Unheard, but I haven't played them yet.
Okay.
Audica is the only one that I've played. I only grabbed Audica because I found that they're now doing custom tracks. So Audica is a VR rhythm game from Harmonix,
Mm-hmm.
the fucking rock band team. Uh,
Well, Guitar Hero team, aren't they?
yeah, sorry, my bad.
Sorry, Guitar Hero
Uh,
and Rock Band team.
the fucking and that DJing game, the
DJ
one with the
Hero.
cards,
Uh,
the cards.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
whatever that fucking thing's called. I don't know.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, DJ Hero was a UK studio.
yeah, no.
I'll look it up while you're
Anyway,
talking.
good plan. So yeah,
Fuser.
it's
Oh no,
like
that's
Beat
Drop Mix.
Saber. Drop mix,
Drop
yes.
Mix. Fuse is their newest game, which is very similar to Drop Mix.
Right.
Anyway, that's coming out soon.
So Audic is a rhythm VR game similar to Beat Saber, but instead of slashing with
Yeah.
lightsabers, you shoot with guns. And yeah, I didn't want to pick this up until it had custom songs because in general they like the success of them I find hinges very much on whether or not I like the songs, and usually I don't like the songs. They're this sort of electronic techno shit that I don't really go in for all
Yeah.
that often. Yeah, it's like I'll wait it up. But yep, it's in. Audica's got custom songs. It's pretty easy to fucking do. The tracks are just like you just drag and drop the tracks into your fucking songs library, and that's about it. You can customize your guns and stuff, but you don't really have to do any of that. Yeah, custom songs is literally just drag and drop, and they're actually being hosted, or if not hosted, at least you can find them in the same library as where you would find a lot of your Beat Saber songs
Yeah.
on Beast Saber, um, which makes it very easy to find. All you do is you search Audica. Hopefully, at some point they'll put in like a proper tagging system for Audica songs, so that you can do it a bit easier and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the moment it's literally just Audica is appended to the end of the title. So I think there are a couple of songs that are being missed as a result. Definitely some songs that I found on the Discord that I couldn't find on B Saber, but it doesn't it's not a big a deal. I'm like it's pretty early days for this shit, it would
Yeah.
appear. So yeah. Anyway, as it progresses, I'm sure it'll get better and better. The main thing about Audica is that it's a shooty version of Beat Saber, which I like. I mean, I like the concept. I think I've fucking must have said a billion times that I think VR needs to lean on the light gun concept a lot more than it does. And that's basically what this is, a light gun rhythm game. It works. They do a lot of really clever shit. They've got like a really subtle. I don't know. Well, I feel like it's subtle. It took me ages to fucking notice it was happening, but there's a subtle sort of aim assist.
Aim assist, yeah.
Yeah. To sort of like if you're in the general direction, it will like of the target, it will generally fucking aim at it for you, like or
Yeah.
take you the rest of the way type thing.
I think it's
Which is
more
cool.
worried about the timing.
Yeah.
Like whether or not you're early or late in terms of
Yeah.
being on beat.
Yeah. But like you can't like shoot the fucking other way as well.
No.
Like so it's got that. It's got I don't know if you've noticed, but like it does these subtle lines to where the next beat is going to be. So the next target is going to be. So when you shoot one target, it'll
You know where
drag
it's
a
gonna go.
line to where the next one is, which is super clever. In some of the songs have you like fucking doing a full 180, like from one side
Yeah.
and shooting all the way across. And there's no way you would be able to see all that shit happen if you were like because your field of vision in VR is limited at the end of the day. So you've only got like not even, I don't even think you've got 90 degrees, maybe 80 degrees is default.
Something like that, yeah.
It's definitely limited, but the line drags
Yeah.
you across. And like I found myself not like before I even the only reason I noticed the lines is because I was trying to work out how I knew to fucking look to the left, right? Like off screen. How did I know that the next one was going to be way off screen? And then I noticed the fucking line. I'm like, that is fucking really good, like really well done. And I think it's important because Beat Saber is sort of locked in this track, right? Like you are, it's just
For the
in
most
front of you
part.
type thing. Yeah, like well, it's not like I guess there's ducking for walls and leaning
Well,
for
no, they've got the
walls.
360 modes in there now.
Oh, I've never done
Right.
360.
So generally in like a rhythm game, you got a track, right? A track that's in front of you, and you hit it to
Yeah.
the sound of the beat. That is kind of how Beat Saber was initially conceived, but they've got a 360 mode in there now where it will swivel around and the notes can come from all directions around you. I don't know if
Right.
it's every song that is able to do that, but when you go and select a song in Beat Saber,
Yep.
they've got little indicators down the bottom, like this is traditional. This one you can play with one hand, or like there's different types of modifiers like that they're sort of set for, and there's a 360, and you can select that and off you go.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it just means you're no longer like looking straight ahead. You start now moving around, and I don't know off the top of my head because I've only played one of them. I guess it's a lot easier in terms of being able to see where the notes are coming from, or where the blocks are coming from far away, because they're kind of, you see them off in a distance. So I don't know if it does that sort of like foreshadowing of, hey, this is where they're going to be next. But for the most part, when I've played it for that specific track, it was kind of like, it wasn't jumping around all over the place. It was very fluid in terms of where it would go next. So that's kind of something that's a little bit different. Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't. Yeah, I guess. Well, it doesn't alter my main point.
Yeah.
Audica's all over the fucking place is what I was getting at. I haven't seen any songs go behind you. I don't know how they would. Yeah, they come from in front, so they'd have to go over the top of you or some shit. I don't think that'll work. But it's definitely in a 180 plane, and that's really cool. And yeah, it's very cool how they go about leading you to the next one. Like they do a great job of that. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, there's all that, and then the additional songs just sort of make it like I think the bass songs I played through a bunch of the bass songs. I don't hate them, right? But I certainly wouldn't listen to any of them outside of the game. You know,
Mm.
that's the thing, right? Like that's I think that is more the point, right? Like if you take a game like Rock Band or Guitar Hero or even DJ Hero, I would listen to a lot of songs
Sure.
outside of uh those games. Like I actually I mean obviously Guitar Hero and Rock Band were literally just a shitload of classic fucking songs. Uh but yeah, like DJ Hero, there were some good remixes, and the
Mm.
songs that I built out of tended to be pretty good as well. And yeah, you just like there's a lot there that you can like get out of a game like that. But yeah, in these other games, it Beat Saber and Audica, I wouldn't listen to almost any of this music outside of it. It's just not my fucking thing, right? It doesn't really vibe with me.
Mhm.
I'm not fucking getting home at 3 a.m. and pinging off coke and turning up the music way too loud. So I guess anyway.
I like a lot of the songs in there.
Yeah, you would. Um, yeah, you fucking so injecting my own music is fucking is way better. Well, not my own music, but like custom tracks is fucking way better. The
Sure.
only thing I've got a problem with is that like they're custom tracks. They're made by you know uh the
Community
community,
members.
and
Yeah.
there are a couple of inconsistencies
Mm.
occasionally. Like I noticed on one song in particular, I think it was like a Fallout Boy song. Um, there was like this one sequence throughout, like I thought the entire track was like perfect, except for like right at the end of the chorus. There was this one bit I can't remember what the song is called, but yeah, there's this one bit where all of the notes were like a fraction off the beat.
Mm.
And so if you shot at the beat, like on the beat, you were missing. Like you were flat out missing. Like it was early every single time. And you can't like it doesn't recharge, but it does punish you. It doesn't allow you to fucking spam. So you
Yeah.
can't like rapid fire at it again. And so yeah, you get the punish for the early, and it was just off. Every other the like what fucked it for me was that every single other one was on the beat.
Mm.
Worse still, that song is whatever it's called.
Setries.
Is
I don't know. That seems to be the one that's on all the Beat Saber
uh
stuff.
I I got no idea. But it's my highest fucking. It's the song I appear to be best at.
Oof.
I am
Ooh.
like I think like the fucking 6 notes that I missed at the end of that chorus, and I knew not to miss it the next time.
Mm.
Uh, those are the only 6 notes I missed in that fucking song. I'm
Right.
like, are you fucking kidding? I was like that close to a fucking perfect. Like that would have been my first fucking perfect, and it's like I got dicked over because the fucking notes were off. But otherwise, yeah, no, like I don't know, you just find interesting songs that people have created. And yeah, like someone did Dragon Force Through the Fire and Flames.
Mm.
And yeah, that shit's hilarious. That song's amazing even on just standard.
Right.
Because the game does that thing. So it's got like a couple of different ways that it has you interact. You've got shooting targets, you've got shoot and hold on targets, you've got bashing targets,
Mhm.
and then you've got the shoot and drag, where you shoot and hold, and then you drag it, and it'll go
It's like
across
a
a
chain
chain of
combo. Yeah.
yeah. And Yeah, it does. Like Through Fire and Flames does a fucking phenomenal job of combining all those things, even on standard mode, in a really interesting way. So that like all of the beats are still being hit. You're still quite active, but it's not like hyper complex. I mean, it's still fucking still rough, but yeah, like it's not hyper complex. But yeah, it's got you doing stuff like fire and drag and like bashing away at the same time with the other hand. And so there's like a lot of peripheral movement going on where you have to pay a lot of attention and stay on top of shit.
Coordination, yeah.
And yeah, like two-hand coordination, which can be pretty fucking tricky. And yeah, it just winds up being a lot of fun. So yeah, that's a good song. I've got what else have I got? I should be able to see this shit somewhere. I can't remember where the fuck I've installed the fucking my copy of the game. Yeah, I've just got a bunch of fucking good songs basically, and
Yeah.
I feel like I've done a good job at finding great stuff. Yeah, you've got it too, right?
Yeah, I did pick it up as well, because I am very much into rhythm games. I was a big fan of Guitar Hero Rock Band, DJ Hero. I guess after that was probably Beat Saber, and I think
Yep.
Beat Saber is sort of like the king of rhythm games at the moment in terms of just what it's doing.
Yeah.
I don't like this game as much as you. It sounds like it. I think my biggest problem with it is I don't think it does a good job of uh, we were talking about this track, right? Of the songs are on a highway and they're coming
Yep.
towards you and they get to a point and you know this is where I need to hit the button or do the action. All the games we just spoke about did that, whereas this one doesn't have a track necessarily. It's kind of the track is in the middle of the air somewhere, and you don't have a good grasp of where that beat or that actual point is. So what they do is they visualize it by having a circle around the note or whatever the target that you've got to shoot. And once the target retracts and gets to where the target is, that's when you shoot, right? And it's kind of just hard to gauge when you're in a 3D environment, like when that is, especially on some of the harder modes, when it's coming at you really quickly. On things like standard, I don't remember the mode, standard, beginner, and then it goes advanced and something else, or intermediate, advanced. Like the standard stuff, it's pretty basic, but once it gets a lot quicker going, and you're like trying to like look at notes beforehand and sort of figure out where you should be going next and when you should be shooting and that sort of thing, I just feel like it just doesn't click as well, because you just don't have a good idea of like, I don't know, when is the point where you should be going, especially when there's a lot of beats happening at once and things are coming at you out of time, and it's just very hard to be like, oh, this one is up here and this next one is down here, and it's just hard to tell like where it is on the screen it is you should be shooting and when. I just feel like it's hard because it's in a 3D space. It's not as easy. It's not coming in front of you or on like a straight plane or anything like that. So that's kind of the one thing that just doesn't feel right to me. And
I sort of visualize it more like I think the shrinking circle to me makes it feel a bit like the Time Crisis or Virtua Cop, like they're about to shoot type thing, right? And I suppose the solution to your issue would be if you could just shoot the fucking circles ahead of time, right, without having to wait for the circle to close, because that's how you do it. See, I think that's the thing, right? Like for me, it is Audica sits more towards light gun game than it does rhythm game, right? Because I guess because of the lack of a track, which I definitely agree. Like it fucking escalates the complexity immensely. It makes it so much harder. And I feel like I can't tell, but I feel like there are some fucking notes that don't like the notes move at different speeds sometimes. And
they move at different speeds, different angles, and it's not like they're coming at you like I said, the other games where it's on a track, it's straight ahead. They're sort of popping in and out of different angles, different speeds, and sometimes you'll see two come at the same time that look like they're next to each other, but then one goes off and the other one kind of is a bit slower, and it's just kind of like, oh, I'm not really sure when I should be, like when it's actually gonna go off, like reach that point.
Yeah, it's
like the timing.
It's a bit tricky. It does really small things that are supposed to, I guess, tell you, especially like with that example in particular, the staggered, like I've got it, left is blue and right is orange.
Yeah.
So the staggered blue orange looks different. A simultaneous blue orange has a line linking to it. Like simultaneous ones always have a line linking them, and if they're staggered, they're not. But you still can't tell which one is necessarily going to be first, and so that is a bit tricky. Like you can't, like you can sort of guess, but when they come in close enough that they could be simultaneous, but there's no line, it is very difficult to tell. And I think what that one, like that is more a like track creation issue than it is. Like I think that would be something you just shouldn't fucking do, staggered by millisecond type fucking like it just feels like a cheese mechanic. But at the same time, I think my overall point, like overarching point is that because I look at it more as a light gun game, I sort of more visualize it as if you're, remember those, like fucking every light gun game had one where you'd be like just faced with a fucking building and motherfuckers pop up out of windows and you'd fucking pop them as they popped up out of windows. That's how it feels to me, but it's on time with a beat. You know, like I'm like fucking full-blown visualizing a fucking window with pop-ups, but that's like, I think AUDICA just sort of fills a hole in me that is left there by the fact that for whatever reason VR game makers aren't making fucking light gun games.
Have you tried Pistol Whip?
I saw it, but it doesn't have fucking custom songs. So
right. Yeah.
I'm like, what if I hate all the music? And then I watch the trailer and I'm like, well, I hate that. So this isn't off to a good start. Like, if it ever gets custom songs, I'm fucking there. Pistol Whip looks fucking rad. But I just don't want to play a game without customs. I don't want to play a rhythm game without custom songs because, I think the music is such a big part of it.
Yeah.
So
I like the game and like what it's doing. I just feel like Beat Saber's done a better job at it, and I think it's just purely because of the way it's sort of laid out. Like when I was big into Rock Band, right? I don't play Rock Band by looking at so you've got the track, the highway track, and the line is where you're supposed to hit the note. I don't look at where the line is. You're looking at the start of the highway to gather like where the notes are coming, and then you memorize it and you know what you're supposed to hit and when it's supposed to be hit. Same thing, especially on like the expert difficulties, right? Where this stuff is coming at you really quickly and you don't have time to sort of play it the other way. Beat Saber is very similar in terms of some of those modifiers where it'll get rid of the arrow indicators to show you which way you should be slicing. Have you done those ones?
I have watched my wife do them. I haven't done them myself.
Right. So what happens is the notes, the blocks come towards you. They, you'll see them coming down the track, and then the slicing direction disappears. Right? People at home haven't played it, and by the time it gets to you, it's been a good 2 or 3 seconds where you don't know which way you're supposed to slice. But I play it the same way I play Rock Band. Is that I'm not looking in front of me. I know which way I'm supposed to slice because I'm 4 or 5 blocks ahead already, and I know which way those blocks are because I'm going down. Beat Saber is very much, for the most part, in rhythm. They do chuck some curveballs at you, but it's generally like if you swing down on your right hand, for the most part, the next one is going to be up. Or if you're swinging like left on one side, then it's probably right on the next one. Or they try and keep some sort of consistency there. So you sort of know what's going on. But also you've seen that block coming up and you know, well, this one is down, the next one after that is up, and then it's right. And you're like that sort of thing. So that's very much how I play Beat Saber as well. I'm looking, 5 or 6 blocks ahead. Whereas this game, and maybe I need to play it more, it's just it's a bit harder because I can't see them. I can't see the targets coming in because for the most part it's very like there's one zooming in here on the right and then there's another one zooming on the left, and like you said, it foreshadows where the next one is coming, but it hasn't fired it yet at me on some of the slower songs. And so you're like, all right, well, this one is right, left, and then this one is here, but there's something else happening over here, so I've got to watch on my right, and I'm not really sure like when that sweet spot is. Like I've just got to think of the beat, and sometimes like there's not as many targets as there are beats, and you're not really sure like when you should be hitting it, and maybe that's just where I'm a bit iffy on it. But otherwise, like yeah, it's really well done. I like the shooting stuff. It feels really good and responsive. I'm interested. Well, I'm not really interested to see what they do next because I know what they're doing next, and I'm not interested in it.
Yeah.
Their next game, which is I just spoke about it before. It's similar to Drop Mix Fuser. Yeah.
Fuser. Yeah.
Saw a video for that. No, thank you. It just doesn't interest me at all.
I read Steve Wright's preview on Survivor, and I'm like,
it sounds like that. The one you talked about before, Drop Mix, it's like a board game, right?
Yeah.
But there was a game a while back, and I think did Rockstar make it or they published it, but it was on like the Vita.
Oh yeah. I remember the song you're talking about. I cannot remember the name.
Like I've got it here somewhere. I think I've given them away recently. Oh wait, no, him. Oh no, it was the PSP, not the Vita.
Yeah, even
PSP. I've got a bunch.
Beta Raider.
Yeah, that's it, Beta Raider.
No, it definitely sounds like that. Exactly like that. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, okay. So I just remember what I was gonna say, and you know what I haven't given you any shit for?
What?
Is buying a fucking VR headset that's tied to Facebook, and buying into the walled garden horse shit that Oculus puts up, because there is a VR game that I very much want to play.
But I get it. I'm not outside the wall. I'm in the wall.
Yeah, you fuck. I want to play Phantom Covert Ops, which is the fucking canoeing fucking shooting game. Metal Gear Solid, but you're in a canoe.
Okay.
I really want to play that game. I so desperately want to play that game, but for the life of me, I cannot get fucking Revive to work successfully or consistently. So I just can't.
Okay.
And it drives me fucking bananas. So yeah, fuck you for paying Oculus and buying into their horse shit.
No problems. Any time.
But seeing how you do have Oculus, you should like get that game.
I'm looking at a trailer now. I've got a couple of VR games on my wish list at the moment that I'll grab.
Oh well, no. The cool thing about Oculus and the Oculus Store is that they appear to never fucking discount anything, and everything always costs fucking $40+.
Oh, is it only on Oculus, right?
Yeah, this is my entire problem, is that it's exclusive to Oculus, and that's some garbage shit. And yeah, fuck them. It's very annoying to me because, like, it looks amazing. It looks spectacular, and I can't fucking play it.
Right.
Fuck them for doing this.
Have you played any like the Job Simulator games or?
Yeah, I played Job Simulator.
Any good?
Um, I like Job Simulator.
What about the
It's
second one where you're on like an island?
what? What's I haven't played the second. What's that?
Was it? I think there's a second one.
Is
Uh,
it like?
oh,
I, I don't
is it
know.
called Holiday
Job
Simulator or something?
maybe.
No,
Job Simulator is basically just like physics. Like it's sort of like what's that surgery simulator?
Surgeon Simulator. Yeah,
Surgeon simulator? Yeah, it's basically that. Like, but better writing and like a lot more variety in what shit you're fucking up. It's like very entertaining in the way that it sort of plays out. Thanks to like cute design and
Hmm.
goofy ideas. Yeah, it's sort of like if Surgeon Simulator was just one game in a WarioWare title.
Sure.
No,
Yeah.
WarioWare, it's like fucking 200 mini games, and they're all fucking idiotic. And Surgeon Simulator was just one of those, one part of all 200 of those. That's what Job Simulator is like. It's
Right.
definitely worth checking out.
Yeah. Second one's
Yeah,
called Vacation Simulator.
right,
That came out last
right,
year.
right, right. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
what else do we have here? Supraland.
Oh yeah, go.
Yeah. So I picked this up. It was on sale, and I didn't realize the DLC you were talking about last or a couple weeks back. It's not out yet. It comes out like this week, I think 2 days from now.
Okay.
But anyway, Superland is a first-person puzzle game in the vein of like I guess you could say it was sort of similar to like a Portal or a Talos Principle. I think more in line with like Talos Principle. Um, what were some of the other ones? Like Cubed, I think was a game that I played. But yeah, like a first-person puzzle game. Whereas this one is sort of like you're getting items and abilities and new ways to interact with the environment as you progress further and further into the game, and it starts to unlock more and more things that you can do in like this literal sandbox. Like you're in a kid's sandbox, and everything is like you're like a little red man in this giant sandbox, and like you can see out above you, and there's like sandcastles, and on the odd occasion you'll see the kid that's sort of like playing around with you, um, like a shift in perspective, and you'll be able to traverse this environment and unlock new areas, and as you do that, you discover new ways to interact with the world, and like eventually you go back to in a like a Metroidvania style type of way. You go back to other areas and like, oh, you can do these things in here now. Like, you can now interact with this button a certain way, which you couldn't do before, and now you've got an ability to stomp on something, and that allows you to break glass and that sort of thing. So yeah, it does a really good job. I enjoyed it quite a lot. I bashed it out in a couple of sessions.
Yep.
It's not super long. It's Superland is not super long. It is maybe 10 or 12 hours, depending on how quickly you can get through some of these puzzles. There's a lot though. I think I finished it, and my progress score was like 40% or something like that. Or
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
I thought I was really far into the game, and it was like you're 15% of the way through, and I'm like, what? I've been playing this for like 8 hours. What is happening? And I think that
Yep.
is just taking into account like you can pick up coins which you use to buy new abilities.
Yeah.
There are other things in the environment that you can interact with that sort of counts towards like a progress as well. So I think that that's just kind of the thing, that it's like, oh, you haven't actually 100% of the game. There's still a bunch of other things that you can go and do.
That is correct. Yep.
Yeah, but to 100% of it for the most part, you don't really need doing that stuff. I think it does a decent job at telling you how to interact with the world. Like a lot of it is information you gather through other NPCs in the world. You kind of talk to them, and they'll give you hints as to what you should be doing in this particular area or this particular puzzle. And then other times it's sort of just like a like just try it, just try something, and eventually you'll figure it out, or trying something that is a little bit different to something else you've done earlier, um, like playing around with the tool set that you've got.
Yeah.
And there are occasions in the game that I got stuck, like I didn't know what I was supposed to do, and I'd go look up a tutorial and be like, all right, I didn't know you could do that at all, and there's like nobody around here to talk to. And I think that's like one of the problems that the game has, is that it doesn't really
Can you
like
think of any examples like of when that happened?
um without I think there's at one stage where like you get the electrical abilities and you start joining them
Oh yeah.
between metal bits, and then you've got to like shoot, you can shoot one of your guns through it and it changes the color of the gun. Like
Mm.
there are stages where it just doesn't really tell you you can do that, and you kind of just have to guess that you can do it. um
Right.
like there's no one around you, you haven't used that
Yeah.
ability before in a certain way, with that particular gun. There was one point where, and this gets in like spoiler territory for getting puzzles, but uh, like being able to paint certain items that you've got, like objects that you've got on you, and using that to get through certain puzzle gates that the game throws at you, like just not knowing you could do that. Um, yeah, it's like sometimes it holds your hand a lot, and it's like, hey, this is how you should do this. You know, you got to do it. Um, you got to figure out how to do this puzzle, and then it sort of escalates that, and then keeps escalating it until you sort of mastered it, and it throws you another uh, type of thing you've got to do to solve a bunch of problems with. But then it'll just be like you just fucking get to a spot and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Have I gone the wrong way? And that's the problem, where it being a Metroidvania game, you're not really sure if you've got the thing that you need to solve this puzzle yet, or if you're in the wrong area. And sometimes you've
Yeah.
got it, but the game just hasn't told you. I think that's where it kind of fumbles a little bit, in terms of getting you to do certain things that you just kind of have to figure out for yourself. Because there was, I think, 2 or 3 occasions that I looked up. I could go through my history on YouTube, but I was just like, I did not know you could do that. Like it just doesn't. It never told me I could do that. It's just kind of a thing where you're like, all right, figure that out. But then there are occasions where you do figure it out for yourself and you feel really smart. You're like, oh, cool, that's awesome. That is an interaction that I thought would work, and it did work. And that stuff is really well done. Like when it just sort of, it just happens and things click. And then there are parts where you're like, I didn't even know that I could start it. Like I didn't know I could that'd interact with each other that way. Things like the final boss fight as well comes to mind, of me going, oh yeah, I know how to do this. I do this. You know, I got to a point where I figured everything out except for the last bit, where you need to get a green thing through a green hole, and I was like, I don't know where the last thing is that I need to get to do this. Like I can't.
Mm.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. And then I looked it up because I spent way too long trying to do it. And I was like, oh, that's what I need to do. Okay, like fair enough. Like at no stage anywhere else in the game has it got me to do that in that particular way. It's gotten me to paint things in a certain way, but not what it tried to get me to do. And I think that's like the sort of bits where it breaks down a little bit.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's an excellent game. If you haven't played it yet, definitely check it out, especially with the DLC dropping in about 2 days. They literally just rolled out an update while we're talking, and I don't know what it is.
They've like added so many achievements since I've played it.
Okay.
Like when I went to play the DLC, it was like, oh, and don't forget to try and get all these all these achievements from the regular game. I'm like, fuck off if I'm going back to do that shit. You're
Oh yeah,
fucking hiding.
because I looked at one of when I was looking at one of the guides to fix a puzzle, there are these like bodies of your villages that are around, and a lot of them are from familiar characters in pop culture. Um,
Mm.
and I didn't know you could interact with them, like until I watched this video, and I was like pretty far to the end of the game, and
Yep.
I was like, oh, you can do that? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Um, so I missed that whole thing, and yeah, there's just I don't know. There's a lot of things that it does really, really well, and then there's some things that I think it's just sort of a bit sloppy. And it looks like they've changed a lot of the puzzles as well, because I looked at one puzzle, and you can watch like a video on YouTube, and you look at like what you're facing and what they're doing, and you're like, that's not the same thing I'm doing. Like it looks a little bit
Yeah.
different. Like they've played around with the puzzles a little bit, and some of them
Well,
are
the thing is, the whole game was made by one guy, right?
right.
So he has taken a lot of taken the opportunity to I don't know, clarify a lot of what he did originally
Yeah.
over the course of the time that it's come out,
Hmm.
um, and refine it over over time. Since
Because it came
since
out
it first
last year? Maybe not. It says here 2019,
20,
but it also says 2018. So maybe it was like a
yeah,
early
pretty
access
sure I
thing.
played it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I played it in 2018. But anyway, yeah, it's a cool game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's on sale now, so it's $9 US if you have not played it and you're a fan of puzzle games, at least like a Portal or Talos Principle, the games we mentioned before. Or if you just like puzzle games in particular. Yeah, it's extremely good. Like The Witness, maybe. Witness is, I think, a little bit different. Um,
A little bit,
but
yeah.
it's got that sort of visual like design similar to The Witness, I guess. Whereas like the Talos Principle, I don't think it, like when you look at that game, it's not like a visual game. It's sort of just a
Yeah.
whereas The Witness or Portal, it's sort of the aesthetic of it is really interesting and unique. Um, so yeah. Anyway, that's Supraland. It is out now I think it's on. Just is it just Steam? Is it just PC?
I'm pretty sure it's only PC, yeah.
Yeah, 55% off at the moment. DLC is out very soon, and I'll definitely check that out because I had a lot of fun with it. Is the DLC much longer?
No, I'd say it's shorter ultimately. How much time have I spent playing Superland altogether? I've played it for 29 hours. So but I went through and 100%ed the main game.
Okay.
No, I think I didn't get one coin. I couldn't fucking find it. To get to this point where you've got this fucking like an item that beeps when you get closer to coins. And I
Okay.
must have been all over the fucking place trying to find that last coin. I just couldn't fucking do
Yeah.
it. I'm like, I don't know. I got nothing. I give up, and so I bailed. But yeah, I think uh, I I think I spent about 20 hours playing Superland, and then about 9 hours playing the DLC.
Cool.
And I got in early because I backed Superland 2 on Kickstarter.
Is there a second one
'Cause,
coming?
yes,
Oh, awesome.
available on Kickstarter. Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
I'm very excited.
I'll check that out. Um, what else we got here? Talk about Elite Dangerous quickly.
Do it.
The Star
Space
Wars,
truck.
the Star Wars trailer that was shown a couple of weeks back has got us all clamoring for some space games. And I've got a joystick sort of set up with a throttle joystick, HOTAS,
Hot ass.
hot ass, something like that. Yeah. And basically use that to control your ships and that sort of thing. And I was like, oh, I should fire up Elite Dangerous again because that was pretty good, and I haven't played it since for a while. Anyway, my joystick and throttle is extremely sticky, Job. It's extremely sticky.
Ooh.
They've got this
Like
like coating that they use on the rubber. And it turns out if it gets extremely hot or just sort of over time, it degrades and becomes like very like there are mouses that you can go and get, and it's got this sort of coating on there, and eventually just sometimes it'll just degrade and get very sticky. So I looked it up. How do I make it not sticky? And there were a couple of solutions on there. One of them was like getting sandpaper and just sandpapering the coating off, which is one way to do it. But I thought, oh, that might ruin it a little bit. Like, I don't know. Like, how much do you sandpaper? Will it get fucking dust and shit everywhere?
Yeah.
The other solution was to use talcum powder on the or baby powder on the device and like rub it into the actual rubber parts, because it's not the whole thing that's sticky, it's just where the rubber is, which is a decent majority of wherever your hand is going to be sitting. Like the buttons aren't rubber or anything like that, they're plastic. And so I was like, well, I'll fucking do that. So I went down to the shops and got some baby powder, talcum-free baby powder, and got home and started fucking powdering up my joystick and throttle with this baby powder, and it's fucking, it was a mess. There was shit everywhere. It's not, it didn't like rub in all the way either. It's kind of, there's just fucking white talcum powder or baby powder all over this thing.
Cool.
But it worked. That's the main part.
My question is, why did you not already have baby powder in the house?
What do you use it for? I don't have any babies around.
My testicles.
All right. No.
Dude. Now that you've got some, right? After you shower, just fucking talc yourself up, right? Like just go up on your fucking balls, right? Your life is about to change. I'm so fucking excited for how your life is about to change. No more fucking swamp crotch for you, mate. Like, it doesn't matter if it's fucking 35 degrees or whatever.
Don't have swamp crotch. What are you talking about?
111 or whatever they could say it is in fucking American fucking
I don't
temperatures.
even know.
Right? It doesn't matter. No, you just fucking up on the fucking testicles and it's voila. You are in comfort town. Like, I cannot believe that I didn't make this connection earlier. But like my brother-in-law had my niece, I suppose, and he's like, oh, dude, like you gotta talc up your balls. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you gotta talc up your balls. Why wouldn't you talc up your balls? Like we'd been hiking, and I'm like, I cannot walk any further. I'm pretty sure my underpants are made out of sandpaper. He's like, why haven't you talced up your balls? And he's like, this is the best thing I ever learned when I had a kid, was that talcum powder, baby powder, isn't just for babies. Just do it, like, powder up your balls and you're fucking sweet. And I've done it ever since. And honest to God, if there is a zombie apocalypse, right? If the apocalypse ever comes,
right?
The can opener, like remember the DayZ Gentleman Bandit, right? And I robbed that dude for a can opener. Instead of can openers, we will rob cunts for talcum powder. I guarantee it. We will rob them for their talcum powder to stop our swampy balls in the apocalypse. It's happening. It's definitely happening. Anyway, do it and report back. Do it for a week and report back. You have to do it. You have to.
Is this some sort of Job prank?
That's the thing. That's how this relationship works, right? I give you nothing but fucking gold. I tell you to play Supraland. I tell you to tack up your balls. I give you nothing but fucking genius plans, and all you do is prank the fuck out of me, and it's horseshit. When have you ever given me anything good? When has this ever gone the other way? None. It's never happened. It's never been reciprocated. All I do is fucking magic. All you do is fucking terror. It is ridiculous. Anyway, tuck up your balls.
All right. So I talked up my joystick, and yeah, for the most part, it's gotten rid of the stickiness. There's parts where it's starting to stick up a bit again. So I don't know what the solution is there. Maybe I do have to like sandpaper it off, but I don't know. That's for a fucking device that costs me a lot of money. Because these setups are like, I don't know how much they are now, but let me just take a quick look. Because I bought it a couple of years back at least, and the company that I bought it from, Cytec, is now, or it was Madcat/Cytec, is now part of Logitech. They got picked up by them. All right, here you go. It's $512 US. I think this is US dollars. For this thing that I've got.
Right.
And it's really good. Like, it's extremely well made for the most part, other than this fucking rubber that's on there. But it's such a slick setup. It's really cool. Tons of buttons, and it feels like when you grab the throttle and like pull down on it to slow the speed of your vehicle or push up, like there's weight behind it. Like it's got some weight there. Like when I used to play racing games with a steering wheel back when they're like, oh, it's got force feedback or like resistance, and you'd try and turn it and then you'd just hear the thing click because it'd be like click, 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 click as you're turning, and that's just because there's not enough force to kind of pull it back. Whereas this feels like sturdy, mate. It's got some weight behind it. So anyway, fired up Elite Dangerous with that, went through the tutorial, and I couldn't finish the tutorial system. And I didn't know why. What the fuck was going on? Just like buttons weren't working. Like I've got like, I don't know, you can see this. I've got like reference sheets printed off of like, this is what buttons do what.
That looks complicated.
Yeah. Because like these things, there's, I don't know how many buttons on these things. 20, 30 buttons on it, right? And it's not like, oh, press E to use throttle or something. It's like press joy 16 to do this, and you're like, all right, what's joy 16? So then you get your reference sheet out and you're like, all right, that's joy 16, I gotta press this. And it's about learning what buttons do what and how they sort of interact. Like, oh, I know that when I go to my hyperspace, whatever the fuck they call it, like when I do that, I got to press this button in, then I got to pull the throttle forward, and that'll do me that. Or if I want to put my hard points out, I click this one down twice. Or if I want to go to my navigation screen, I click this one over here, and I can navigate using these buttons. And so it's about learning what buttons do what, trying to figure it out. And so I'm doing the tutorial, and I'm getting nowhere. Like things aren't working properly the way they're supposed to work, and I couldn't, like, it's telling me this is the button to do it, but it ain't working what I'm doing. And so I eventually fucked around with it for a while. And these are basically profiles that the community has put together and been like, this is what you should do, and here's some reference sheets and shit like that. And then eventually I'm on this one setup, and my ship just will not stop thrusting to like to the right and down and backwards. And so I'm not touching anything, but it's just fucking going backwards, right, all the time, constantly. And I'm like starting a new game. I'm unplugging fucking joysticks. I'm loading different profiles. Every time I go back into it, this thing is just fucked. It will not. I'm thinking, well, maybe there's fucking baby powder in one of the buttons, and just this is it. This is where I'm going. And then I look into it a lot more, and I realize that the profile I'm using is like out of date now. Like the bindings have been updated in the game, and this binding doesn't work anymore. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This is the highest rating binding that's on there, and it doesn't work. And so I search for like another 20 minutes. Everybody keeps referring back to these bindings for this setup. And then they're like, oh, we've got an X I've got an X55. The next one after that was an X56. And I think the difference is like there's some color differences, and in terms of the button layout, it's pretty similar. Well, it's pretty much the same. They've just tweaked a couple of things. So I basically grabbed the X56 setup, the bindings, chucked them into the game. That didn't work. Came up and said there was a bunch of issues with like, we haven't detected your X56. I'm like, all right, well, how do I fix that? So I went through the entire bindings list in like Notepad, removed any reference to X55s, changed it to, X56. I changed it to 5, X55, chucked it back into the game, and then it accepted the configuration. I was like, all right, cool, sweet. So I fired it up. My fucking ship stopped moving all wonky. Everything was sweet. So these new bindings are for like Elite Dangerous 3.5. And the ones that I was using was for like Elite Dangerous 2.2. They're completely out of date. The guy that made them doesn't update them anymore because he's got some Warthog set up now. Like I think he's got an actual spaceship at his house. He's one of the guys probably making Star Citizen still run. But I eventually get in the game. I do the tutorial. It's all sweet. I feel fucking gangster. Like I'm going in and out of hyperspace. I'm hard points retracting, going out and blowing up canisters, and everything's all sick. And then I get into the main dock that I need to go to, and it's like, congratulations, you finished the tutorial. You can go to the job board now and do all this other stuff. And if you want to, you can refer to your ship player's handbook and see what you've got there. And so you get the ship handbook, and here's all the things you can do. And there's like 30 different careers that you can take. There's like mining and exploration and trading and piracy, smuggling. It just like list goes on. And so I'm like, oh, I'm going to do some mining because there's a job board. I'm like, I'll do some mining. Why not? So I click on mining. I accept a job, and it's like, oh, you need to have these things. Like, you need to have these special types of lasers, and you need to have a scavenge and some sort of refinery thing and something else. And so I leave the fucking spaceport, and I'm like, all right, where do I go now? And so I'm looking at my star map, and it's like, go to this area. So I go there, and I think I got there, but then I couldn't figure out how to actually mine or what I was supposed to be looking for. And it told me there was pirates around and all this other shit. And I just I gave up at that stage. I was like, fuck this. This is too much. I feel like that it got to a really good point of like, hey, this is how you navigate the world and learn all your buttons and all that sort of thing. And then it just forgot the rest of the fucking tutorial system. Like it just left it out the door and was like, here's a bunch of text in this encyclopedia. You can read up how to do it, but we're not going to actually show you how to do it or what's needed to do any of it. Like here's a brief rundown, and then go figure it out for yourself. Because the last time I played this game, I was doing a lot of like trading jobs. Like I would go pick up a bunch of commodities, leave a space station, go to some other system, and then trade it back to this other space system and then get paid for that. And I think I did a bunch of those jobs, and that's how I was sort of leveling up. And I never actually, as far as I can remember, went and tried some other things that you go and do. So yeah, once I realized
it was implemented back when we were playing it.
Yeah.
Like
maybe.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But yeah.
Anyway.
It sounds very much like, draw the rest of the fucking L.
Yeah, and so it felt like one of those games where I need to go and spend like 40 minutes watching a video on somebody else playing it and teaching you how to do it. Because I did look at, they've got like a web page of like, here's like 40 or 50 different types of videos on how to tutorial system, but it's not actually in-game tutorials. It's kind of like just watching a video. I was just like, oh man, I'm good. Like, I just wanted to, like, just tell me, give me some fucking starter missions and show me how to do this shit, and then I'll figure it out. Don't, like, give me an encyclopedia to read and try and figure it out for myself. And then I don't have the time for that. It's too much. So yeah, I stopped playing it and went and played something else, which is unfortunate because I was really looking forward to jumping back in. I started looking at other space games on the internet to be like, what else can I play?
Star
and
Citizen.
Star Citizen
My
came
next
up,
one.
and I was like, I'm good. I'm good, thank you. I've heard that game runs really badly still.
Still, that's crazy. I haven't been back in years.
Hmm. Looks
But I
amazing.
should go back
Like
to
I've
it.
watched some of the dogfights and that
Mm.
sort of stuff. It looks so slick, but from what I've heard, it does not run well. Anyway, so that was my experience with Elite Dangerous, and I was extremely disappointed. But at least I know my setup works for the most part. For when Star Wars comes out, I can get my setup going.
Straight in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
straight in. I was thinking maybe I'll jump back into Elite Dangerous to check out VR. That's maybe the only thing that'll draw me
Yeah.
back in.
Yep.
So,
I mean, you got to make sure VR works for when Star Wars comes out as well.
oh, all right. Is it VR? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Like
cool.
the entirety of Star Wars Squadrons is VR compatible apparently, so
Awesome.
it's got to be done. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
What else we got?
Cool. Speaking of VR, let's talk about the Museum of Other Realities.
Okay.
This is available on Steam right now for free. So it's free to play for the next 3 days. So if you have a VR headset, it should be good throughout the weekend. By the time you hear this,
Okay.
I don't think it's got that much content that you wouldn't be able to check it out in a couple of hours. But it's a museum, and it's like all of the exhibits are these VR experiences, and yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, it's a museum. Like, don't make any mistakes. Don't fucking don't think it's anything other than what it is. It's a fucking museum. You're going to a museum. So
Yeah.
if you're expecting like fucking pew, pew, fucking or even it's not even nice at the museum, right? This is a museum. You're going to a museum. But nevertheless, like just setting expectations. This is a games podcast, and I didn't want people thinking, oh yeah, a game version of a fucking museum. It is not that. It is a fucking museum. But yeah, it's phenomenal. Like they've got these two exhibits at the moment, collaboration with the Tribeca Film Festival and in collaboration with Cannes. They both did these XR, I think XR exhibits or something. Or I don't know. Whatever the fuck they're called. But they got a bunch of creators to create like VR exhibits.
Right.
And the Museum of Other Realities has these exhibits because obviously you can't go to Cannes, nor can you go to the Tribeca Film Festival because of COVID.
At the
So
moment, yeah. I wouldn't be
at the
surprised
moment,
if there was a fucking deep impact situation or something like that at some stage this year.
it's true. But yeah, so you can go visit it instead. Normally, you'd have to pay a bunch of money to get the Museum of Other Realities. Instead, it's free. Entrance to the exhibits is free as well, and yeah, you just sort of go through and check out these things. I mean, a lot of it's art spaces, and you can like see how each one it details how each one was created and stuff like that. And then
So it's like an
uh
audio guide thing as well.
no, there isn't a guide through the museum at all. But there is like a map that you can use to go through and you can like scroll from point to point. It's quite limited. It sort of just takes you to the entrance to the broader exhibits. So you go to the map at the front of the museum, and it'll take you to say the Tribeca exhibit, and the Tribeca exhibit is a hallway that is on each side has a bunch of these exhibits, and each exhibit will teleport you or download uh, the exhibit and then teleport you to a different location. Essentially, you walk through into a tiny room and then find yourself in a much bigger room. And yeah, it's just a bunch of really interesting exhibits. I think it's totally like if you've got VR, it's totally worth fucking checking out
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, it's just an opportunity. Like, there's other people walking through when you're walking through the museum part itself. There's other people walking through it. 'Cause, it's networked, so there's other humans walking through it. And, yeah, you can like see what they're all heading towards, or visit it yourself. You can like draw lines and stuff, so you can sort of semi-interact with them. I think you can group up and group chat with them, but I wouldn't do that with strangers. That seems pretty fucking weird. And yeah, then you just yeah, check out some fucking exhibits.
So can you do it with other people?
Like do the exhibit with other people. I think it's pretty solo.
Right.
That's, like, you can go to the exhibit with other people, and then I think you like leave them,
Leave them there.
or like you go do it in one instance and they do it in another instance type thing.
Yeah. Have you like decked out your Steam home or whatever you call it?
No,
No.
I don't even use it to launch games. That's
I
not
do.
how I get fucking games. Why? That's weird.
How do you launch games then on Steam?
I open VR on Steam VR, in the Steam VR tab, and then I fucking click on the tab like I'd normally open up a game in Steam.
Okay.
That's the sensible way to do it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it is fair enough. Anyway, I just like, if you do have VR, the one that I really think was worth it, like worth all the download and everything, was the Book of Distance, which is this dude retells his grandpa's like life story of
Crazy
moving
sex
from-
parties.
Oh,
No?
it's quite somber. Yeah, moves from Hiroshima to America, and is put in an internment camp, and then his sister dies at the end of World War II. And,
Way to bring it back down, Joab.
you're the one fucking. I was always down. I was always down here, and you try to fucking lift things up with the crazy sex parties, but
No,
it was.
You were like, oh,
times.
play this museum game. Here's the best one I found. Oh, okay, fair enough.
I'm pretty sure I went over and over and over how it's a fucking museum, not night.
Sex. I thought it was a sex museum.
Not
Isn't that what you use VR
fucking
for? Sex games?
Sex night at the museum, or fucking, Playboy Mansion, the VR experience. It's a museum. Fucking name one fun thing you've ever done at a museum.
There's some good museums over here. There's the Space Museum. There's some
at
science
a regular
museums.
museum. You can't stop cheating.
The dinosaur one.
Regular museum. Yeah. Name something fun you did at a dinosaur museum.
For the Space Museum, there was a giant.
Stop bringing up the space. Stop bringing up the fucking
Tom Hanks
Space
narrated
museum.
it. It was a science museum.
Name one fun thing you did at a regular museum.
Regular museum. What about there's a museum over here that is like all science stuff. I don't remember what it's called.
Bring up the science museum again and see what happens.
No, you
see
said
what happens.
You said Space Museum. It's different museums. Different museum. I'm trying to find it. Oh, I went to the Disney Museum. That was great. The Disney Museum here. A lot of good museums in San Francisco.
It's absolute horseshit.
You've got shit museums over there.
It sounds like I went to the fucking Museum of Natural History in New York. The big one that everyone fucking, you have to line up for fucking 45 minutes to. And the most fun I had in that place was taking photos of masks and then sending them to people as Zoom memes. That's the most fun I had at a fucking museum. Okay. And it might have been culturally insensitive to do that, honestly.
Maybe.
So, like, museums aren't fun, is what I'm driving at. But it's a worthwhile experience nonetheless. Okay, so that was that. That was Museum of Other Realities, available right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go next.
Do it.
I've played an hour of This Is the Police 2. A sequel to a game I spoke about back in 2016. I was originally supposed to review This Is the Police, which is an indie game
Mm.
I got the game like off the top of my memory. It was about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before. And as I was reviewing it, they kept updating the game and pushing out patches, but weren't sending through patch notes. And I think this game probably got, by the end of it, that 2 week or 10-day period, it must have been about 45 to 50 patches that were pushed through. It was doing like multiple a day. And some of them were really big, like 300 megabyte patches for for a 2.5, 3 gigabyte game. And I ended up going back to the people that sent it to me and be like, hey, do you have patch notes for this? Because it's getting updated all the time and I'm supposed to be reviewing this and I don't know what you're changing or like what the differences are between each build, if they're changing like the way things work, or like my experience is going to be completely different. This person's actually playing a retail version of this game. They never got back to me, so I didn't review it. It's like, fuck that. That's too much of a headache. Anyway, This Is a Police 2 is a game where you are, well, the original game you were playing the head of a police chief department, and you were making decisions in terms of sort of like, have you played any of the dispatcher games where you're sending off police to certain or emergency units to certain areas? Like it'll be like, hey, you've got to deal with these situations. What do you want to do here? You send over some ambulance, and you send over some fire brigade, or this one is like, like an overview map of what's going on, like the town, and you've got to manage your resources and your staff, send a certain amount of people to an area, and make sure they deal with it. And then sometimes the game, This Is the Police, will like throw you scenarios, like it'll pop up on the screen and be like, all right, here's what's happening at this thing you've just sent a bunch of resources to. What do you want to do? And it could be something as basic as like, there's a fucking cat in the tree or something like that, and you've sent 2 police officers to this thing. And then another one might be, well, someone's being robbed or something like that, and then you've got to sort of figure out like, how do I solve this problem? What do I need to do? So there's one gameplay element of that. There's like case solving, where it'll give you a crime and different clues, and you got to like piece them together and figure out like what happened to the crime and try and solve it. And it'll throw in like curveballs at you, like wrong scenarios or things that happen, or it might give you statements from witnesses, and you've got to try and determine exactly what the nature of the crime was, who did it, and that sort of thing, and like put the pieces together as to what happens. What else was there? Off the top of my head, a lot of story in the original game as well. I didn't play it. I never got to the end because I was like, fuck this. This is too much of a headache. I can do other things if they're not going to get back to me. But there was a lot of story. And This Is the Police 2 seems to take off after the events of that game. It sounds like it's the same character from the last game, but he's much older now. And so it's a continuation of that story. And like I said, I've played an hour. And when I say I've played an hour, I've probably played 3 minutes of the game, because the rest of it has been cutscenes and story. And
oh, wow.
I'm blown away by how much it's got me not to play this game. Like, I'm so confused as to what they're trying to do here. The only thing that I've noticed that is different so far, and I was like, oh, this is a huge departure from the last game, is that there's like this whole XCOM element to it now, where you're controlling the units on the ground. So in the last game, like I said, you'd make a decision to be like, hey, send these people to this location, and how many people do you want to send? And then it'd like pop up and be like, here are some choices you need to make. Whereas this game is like, all right, here's an XCOM type scenario. You've got to move these units around. And I've only done the one so far, but it's kind of like you have to stun an enemy, handcuff them, and that'll stop them from raising the alarm. There was one point where I'm breaking into a house, like I'm setting up guys. So one dude's kicking the door in, the other one is breaking windows. The other guy you can pepper spray people. There's a baton you can hit people with. There's weapons you can fire. So I fired at one dude, and it gives you like different body indicators on the like where you can shoot them. And so like I could shoot the guy in the arm and make him drop his gun, or I can go for a headshot or body shot or legs. So it's doing stuff like that. Um, which is, it's an interesting way of sort of evolving that particular gameplay element of rather it just being a bunch of text on the screen and being like make a choice. Now it's getting you to engage with it a little bit more, which I like that. But yeah, that's all I've done so far. Like I did that tutorial because that's what it was, a tutorial which went for about 90 seconds. And then it got me to make some selections which seemed to be in relation to the last game. Like, hey, here's here's some things that happened at the end of the last game, but we haven't carried your progress across. Like, what sort of decisions would you made, and that'll kind of affect the story here. So I did that,
Right.
and then it got me to do some. It's got me to do like solve a case, solve a crime, and that took me about 30 seconds or something. And I don't even know if I did it properly. Like it just finished and I was like, all right, cool. And it went back to more story stuff. Yeah, I don't know what they're playing because a lot of the criticism of the last game was like it dragged and there was too much story.
Yeah.
And it seems like they didn't listen to that criticism. This seems like there's more story. And they're not only is there more story, but there's more story of the last game, which like for an indie game they're trying to continue a story that probably not a lot of people played. It's just really weird. It seems like you need to have played that last game to understand what is going on in this game. It's just a strange decision. But otherwise, like the art style is really good. The design, like how it looks, the acting, I'm pretty sure it's the same guy that was in the last game. And like the sound and all that stuff is done really well. It's just that there's not a lot of game happening at this stage, and I'm a bit concerned. So I'll have to keep playing it. We'll see when the game actually picks up and starts doing stuff. Because I'm sort of interested to see how that XCOM style gameplay, how deep that is, and what they've sort of done to push that style of genre forward, because we've seen a lot of those XCOM tactical style games in the last couple of weeks. And this looks like it's doing some interesting different things with being able to decide like how do you want to approach the situation? Where do you want to shoot this person? Do you want to shoot them, or do you want to try and take them into custody? Like I don't know how that sort of affects the story. Like if you just go in and just shoot everybody, what's that going to do? As opposed to arresting the people you're supposed to. So I'm curious to see what those decisions are sort of mean for the game.
Like,
But anyway.
if it wasn't for what sounds like an overbearing amount of story, it
Yeah.
sounds like a game that I'd really fucking enjoy. It
Yeah.
sounds really cool, but yeah, it also sounds like it. Yeah, there's a lot of fucking. Oh my god! When do I
Because
get
that's what the original game was. It had all these cool, interesting elements in it. But it was very story heavy. Like you were
Yeah.
making decisions of hiring staff and figuring out where you're supposed to send these people. But then the day would finish, and then you'd go back to being this police chief, and it was all about him and how he was starting to become corrupt in the mafia and the mob and that sort of thing. It just kept going and going, and there's so much story happening, and like these animated cutscenes that sort of fill in each day and like what's happening. So
Mm.
I don't know. I'm sort of cautious at this stage as to how much of this game is actually going to be playable and how much of it I'm going to be sitting there watching. Maybe it's just the intro, but it's reviewed really well on Steam. It's got a very positive review on there. It's been out for a while. It's been out for about 2 years, but I got a copy. I got a code for that recently, so I thought I'd just jump in and check it out. Yeah, This Is the Police 2. Out now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
What else we got?
Should we stick on the cop theme and go straight to Chronicles of Crime?
Okay.
Chronicles of Crime is a board game that I got because I asked you about that board game you talked about a little while ago called Detective,
Yes, detective.
and then I tried to find a copy of Detective, and I couldn't. And
Ah,
so I looked up games that were similar to Detective, and I got Chronicles of Crime.
okay.
Um, it's rad. This game's fucking cool, man. I enjoy it a lot. You've got like you put out your board. You've got a couple of decks. It's heavily linked to a phone app, and the phone app does a lot of the fucking legwork for you,
Mm,
like the heavy lifting. But you basically go through and solve a case, and it tells you how you did based on the answers you give at the end. And so it starts off. You're called into the police, the chief's office at
mhm,
Scotland Yard. Uh, he tells you about a victim. You've got to go to check out the victim, and so you go. It'll be like victim. There's a victim in Hyde Park, and so grab the Hyde Park card. So you've got like these location cards. You've got these character cards, and you grab the Hyde Park card. You grab the victim is number 44, and you pull out number 44 from the character cards. You put it down, and it's a young woman, and you place it there. There's a gardener who was the person who reported the crime, number 53. So you pull that out, card 53, and you put that on Hyde Park. Sorry, you put the victim on the victim board, and you put the gardener on Hyde Park, and then you head over, and like your options are, and everything you do is sort of based around scanning these QR codes on the
mm,
cards. So you scan if like you want more details on the victim. So you scan the chief, and then you scan the victim, and that's essentially asking the chief about the victim, and he'll be like, it's uh, we don't know her name. She's between this age and this age. She's found in a pool of blood by the gardener. That's it.
yeah.
But the trick is, each of these questions costs you time, so you need to manage your time. Time's a pretty important resource. So asking the chief questions about, like, it basically feels like asking the chief questions about the crime.
Hmm.
It's a big fucking waste of time. So you don't do that. So you head over to Hyde Park by scanning the QR code on Hyde Park, the location card. And now that you're there, you're able to ask questions of the people who are there. So you talk to the gardener, and you're like, "Oh, tell us about the victim," uh, and he'll tell you about the victim, and then he'll be like, "Oh, we had an argument. We argued a couple of times because the little girl with her pulled out some flowers or something." You're
Hmm.
like, "Okay," so immediately you're like, "Okay, that'd be crazy, but maybe this dude fucking murdered this chick because you know, uh." The little girl pulled out some fucking flowers. But also, you also know now that there's a little girl that is unaccounted for, right? Like, she was with a little girl. So I'm basically just walking through the first fucking case, by the way. So I'm gonna stop before it gets super crazy. I'll try not to spoil it, but bear in mind that these are some preliminary fucking spoilers for the start of this first case. If you are interested in grabbing it,
Mm,
I maybe I'll change the details. I'll change the details. So you talk to. We'll keep all the details that we've got so far, but I'll change the rest. Yeah, the next thing you do is you're able to scan the area for clues. So you look at the area, and there's like junk littered about. There's a suspicious shovel, and there's obviously a shitload of blood and some torn out flowers, right? And so the next thing you can do is, then, right, noting all of those items, you go to the clues deck and you find all of those things. You find gardening tools, blood, uh, plants, rubbish, bottles. Like you just try to work out all the things you can. Like note everything at the crime scene, and you put it down, and you chuck them all down on your clue deck. You've got a clue deck on the main game board, and then once you've got like all your clues ready, then you can call up your experts. You've got 4 experts that you can talk to. So you've got like the scientist, the psychologist, the hacker, and the doctor. And so you can call the doctor and scan the woman, and he'll be like, she died from blunt force trauma, right? So then you're like, oh, okay, a lot of blood, blunt force trauma. Ask him about the blood. He'll be like, yep, people bleed a lot from that particular wound. Like, okay, that wasn't very helpful. But if you go talk to the scientists will be like, oh yeah, okay, so there was that's all the victim's blood type. She's this. And you're like, okay. Basically noting all this shit down. And then you ask the that sort of registers blood as a clue or a relevant clue for the case, and you like register all these little elements as clues for the case, and then you ask like you look through the rubbish and you find the woman's ID, and so once you've got the ID, you can find out where she works, and then you head to where she works, and you find the little girl, and you find out that she had a boyfriend, and so you got to go find the boyfriend. Maybe the boyfriend was involved, and you find out the boyfriend was a bit of a lush, like to get drunk a bit, and you talk to the maid, a cleaning woman at her work, and she's a terrible gossip, and apparently the girlfriend didn't get along a lot, and you start to like cascade all these things together, and like you put together all the clues until you get to the end of it. But as you're doing all of this, right, time is ticking over. Every single thing you do costs you time, and there are certain things that won't happen until certain times. So, for example, you can't find the boyfriend until nighttime, right? Um, or but there are also things that won't happen after certain times, like the cleaning lady will have gone home after once it reaches nighttime, stuff like that. And so you've got to manage that time. And the trick is that you don't know necessarily what time you like. Say it reached night. You talk to the cleaning lady. You talk briefly about the boyfriend, and then it's nighttime, and you're like, oh, let's go talk to the cleaning lady again. You go back, and they're like, oh no, she's gone home for the day. And you're like, fuck. And you're like, where does she live? And they're like, oh, she lives out of the city. You'll have to wait until tomorrow. And you're like, all right, so she's just not viable. Like it takes too long. So we move on to the next step. And you realize that suddenly that resource is no longer available. And you got to fucking manage that time aspect very carefully. But at the same time, the only way to actually do anything is by spending that resource. So it doesn't move in real time. It only moves when you commit an action. So that it pays to sort of really discuss what you're doing with the people that you're playing with, like to talk through what you're doing. You'd be like, okay, well, we could travel to Piccadilly Square, but that'll cost us 20 minutes. And we don't know if such and such is going to be there, right? So do we want to do that, or do we want to stay here and ask this person extra questions just in case we wind up having to come back here anyway? And you got to like really fucking work that shit out, because that time aspect really plays a huge fucking role in it. And it's a really cool game. that like it just seems so well executed. It works so fucking well,
So
and
what are you using the
like
mobile app for then?
everything.
So it's
When
telling you more information about what's like. Is there cards that have flavor text on them, or is it?
no, the cards are generic.
So it's
The
just
cards
a
are
QR code, and then you use that, and then it tells you in the
the,
actual mobile
the
app what's
QR
going on.
code leads you to literally everything. Yeah, and you don't need
All
like
right.
you don't need an internet connection. It's all stored on the app and stuff.
Oh,
But
okay.
what it does is it enables them to like use the same cards for in different combinations for a bunch of different cases.
Right.
So you could possibly get the victim in this case as the I don't know a mad assassin in another case or some shit, right?
Hmm.
And but because it's all just tied to the fucking cards, and it's like it's even able to like you find bottles in one location, but when you go to another location and you scan bottles, it's different. Like it refers to something different, which is very like it's very clever. It's all built into the app. Uh, and then like when you're looking around the crime scene, you're literally just holding your phone in horizontal and looking around, and it's like a AR experience. Like you stand up and you look around
Yeah.
IRL in 360 degrees and stuff. Yeah, it works so fucking well. It's a really good game. Uh, yeah, I don't know how similar it is to Detective.
It's
Like,
sounding similar, like
yeah,
aspects of it, in terms of the resources being like time, because that was a huge thing in
yep,
Detective, being all
yep,
right, we've got to go to this spot and that'll take us 1 hour to get there. And you can only work a certain amount of hours per day. And if you go there, you can like interrogate someone or talk to them, and then on the card it'll be like, all right, you can talk to them, but it'll take this amount of time. Uh,
mm,
and then you might get a new card, like the card will say go to card 67. So you go find card 67 in the deck, pull it out, and maybe that's another lead and it takes you somewhere else. And um, so you got to try and manage the time aspect, but then also that app that you use seems maybe a bit deeper, because it was like a Wikipedia thing where you could type people's names into it and it'd bring up their date of birth, their where they're from, how old they are, their blood type, like their background, if they have a criminal history, and then you could read their bio, and then if something stood out there, you could then go and then type that other person's name in, or like a location, um,
yeah,
or even just go like read it on Wikipedia somewhere else, and then you could input clues into the actual app as well, and then it'd save them and store them. So like you could match um, like DNA and blood types. Like, oh, I found some DNA over here. I'll input that, and then it'd save it and remember it for later on, and you can match them up to stuff that you'd find, maybe in a different scenario or something like that. So I think it's doing things a little bit different, but there's definitely stuff in here that sounds very similar. Because I'm looking at Crimes of Chronicle, they came out around about the same time. It looks like these two games, so um,
yeah.
it's not like they're ripping each other off. Maybe they're ripping off some other game, but they're doing things that are
That,
similar. But
I do believe that they are like because I've got I think my little sister has it at the moment. They're both supposed to be updated versions of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective,
yeah,
which is like a super old school board game.
and I knew that's the one that
Um,
I nearly got, and then I looked it up, and this one was considered like a newer, using newer
yeah,
technology and things like that. That is like where you actually have like a map and books
you've got
and
a map
physical things.
like books, and yeah, it
Yeah,
is fucking insane. Detective sounds closer to that than this. I mean, there's still a lot of intuition happening in Chronicles of Crime, but it sounds like Detective. You've got to make like you Chronicles of Crime. The app can make a few connections for you. At the end of the day, you still have to put the pieces in place yourself.
hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it sounds like Detective. There's an element of I guess manual labor that doesn't
Yeah,
sound like it's there in Chronicles of Crime. So it sounds like they're two riffs on the same idea, and one's a little bit uh I don't want to say simplified, streamlined, maybe more
Yeah.
streamlined. Chronicles of Crime is a bit more streamlined, and so like to me, detective sounds like it'd be more my style of game, but
Yeah.
for playing board games while drinking, Chronicles of
Yeah,
Crime
it's
sounds
different.
like it'd probably work a bit better.
I don't know if Detective is that type of game. It's
Yeah.
more of like because it's a co-op game as well, and it's
Yeah.
people like sitting around throwing ideas at each other, but it's not like having a laugh type thing.
Yeah. Well, I guess Chronicles of Crime isn't exactly sex parties, but like I think because it does a little bit more of the legwork for you, it might be a bit easier to play while drinking. It'd still be one that you'd have to bow out of after a certain amount of fucking booze, I imagine. But by that time, you're probably just playing Jackbox Party Pack anyway. So fuck it. Speaking of Jackbox Party Pack, I ordered a shirt on T Fury, and it arrived, and it is fucking awful, but amazing at the same time. Like they're like, so clearly we were fucking hammered, and we'd all just watched Tiger King. I was playing with Nate and his girlfriend and my wife, and we'd all just watched fucking Tiger King. And so literally all of the shirts that we bought are all Tiger King related, which just isn't relevant anymore. It's just not like, I mean, it's still funny as fuck, right? But it's funny in a deeply ironic way, not in a fucking. We were fucking pissing ourselves.
When did you order these shirts?
Like, when did Tiger King? Oh, when did I miss the boat on Tiger King and like watch it 3 weeks after it? Like fucking 8 to 10 weeks ago. Like fucking ages ago.
Yeah.
Like months ago. That's the thing about T Fury, right? They take forever. Anyway, if you're not watching the YouTube stream, and you're definitely not, but if you're not watching the YouTube stream, jump on my Twitter. I posted a photo of the shirt that I got on my Twitter at JoJo. You can see it. It is just spectacular. It's so fucking dumb. Like that they've got such a racket going on with that shit. I've got another T Fury shirt that I can literally never ever wear anywhere. Because it is like, it's a picture of a snowman. It says, "Hey, piss in my mouth." Like,
yeah.
Why did I buy that shirt?
I don't know.
Good lord. Good lord. Anyway. Cool. Yeah, that's Chronicles of Crime.
Yep. Apex Legends. We'll just keep going on the list, I guess.
Dude, let's talk about Apex Legends and Warzone at the same time, because something is bugging the fuck out of me. Okay, I played a bunch of Apex Legends over the last week. I mostly play solo, like on my own, but I'm not playing solos. I'm playing in trios.
Okay.
Like with randos. And I've won 3 games of Apex in the last week. I've played as many games of COD, Warzone. I roughly speaking, I'm pretty sure it's close to, if not more, games of Warzone. I've won no games of Warzone. Am I fucking amazing at Warzone? Sorry, at Apex? Or like, what the fuck is going on there? Because Apex, you wait longer to get into a game, despite it having fewer players required. So there's less of a community, definitely, at least in Australia, right? Which inclines me to believe that, like, generally, what's happening is, like, you know how as communities diminish, the only people left are the super fucking sweaties, right? So there are, like, Apex should be fucking sweatier, right? There's no crossplay implemented yet, although it is coming in Apex, right? Which means it's all PC players. I'm not fucking picking on fucking controller bambinos in fucking Apex. And yet I have 3 times 0 is 0. But like, so like technically I've got infinity more wins this week in Apex than I do in fucking COD Warzone. And Cold Warzone is popping all the time. It should have a bunch of fucking scrubber dubs for me to fucking slap on. It should have fucking console players all over the fucking place. And yet, I cannot get the fucking win. Bunch of fucking top threes, like second places, just no fucking wins. What the fuck is going on?
How
there? I
many
don't understand.
how many riot shields are there in Apex Legends?
I can't believe I've set myself up like this. I guess technically Gibraltar's gun shield.
How much do you use that?
I don't know. Actually, Lifeline's revive shield, and I basically main Lifeline now. So
okay.
Yeah, because I found my team, like, we have a lot more success. Right, I think I was talking about it last week when I was playing with the fucking casuals, right? I find that if I'm the jump master, my team will go really well, and if I'm not the jump master, we will hot drop somewhere fucking idiotic and basically re-queue immediately. I found though that if I am Lifeline, right, when one of my teammates gets fucking blapped at the start, I can run up, drop the fucking revive, and go fight, and they get back up, and like we can actually get out of
that's
our
a huge
terrible hot
buff.
drops. It is a fucking I didn't think it was that big a deal, but it is fucking massive. Yeah, it's a huge deal. She's fucking rad now. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's wigging me out.
I think it just comes down to you have to win more fights in Warzone. There's just so many. There's more people.
Way more.
There's more.
Yeah.
Way more people.
You have to keep winning fights as well.
Yeah.
Like people can get
100
back in and
150 at the standard, right? Plus respawns, plus gulags. Like, it's not 150 people. It's more than 150 people. It could be 250 people, 300 people, somewhere around that.
Effectively.
Yeah. And there's nothing to stop people getting brought back in.
You gotta fucking keep one. Yeah. I had a game last night in Warzone where what we do? We bought Gavin back in, Grey Squirrel. We bought Grey Squirrel back in once. We got him back in using the fucking Most Wanted.
Yeah.
And then we bought him in again. And I had to fucking pick him back off the ground fucking 3 times. He got 9 kills, and I was saying this at the end of the game, 9 kills. And he was the reason we lost that game. It didn't matter if he got 9 kills. He was why we lost. He also did way more damage than everyone else. What happened, right? And I don't know if he's clipped it. I'm not sure if he's capable. Last I heard, he wasn't able to find where his fucking video files saved to. But
he's having trouble switching his monitor on the other day. It was painful.
Like, what was happening was he was just, I don't know if they've done something to the warning on choppers, but he was murdering all over the fucking place with the pillar on choppers. He just, like, 8 of his 9 kills were people in vehicles with the pillar. It just from way out. It was just wrecking cunts. And it just, like, he was so fucking chuffed with himself. He's going, I've got 9 kills. Look at me go. But he was legitimately a fucking liability. He was a fucking burden. He was a brick on our team, dragging us down into despair. Holy shit. Rasty was playing, and all we could hear from Rasty was the TV in the background the entire time. And he was far more productive a teammate.
Yeah.
Despite not communicating at all.
What was he watching?
I couldn't quite work it out. Cartoon of some sort.
Oh, yeah?
I heard something about KFC, but apparently there was nothing about KFC going on. Anyway, yeah. It was good. It was good. But yeah, I think I'm going to transition back to Warzone. even though I don't get wins, I just have more fun. I mean, I'm not gonna play fucking. I'm gonna go like I'm probably gonna. I don't know. I have been enjoying Apex a lot, but people just don't seem keen on it for some reason. You got to wait longer to get into a game. It is really frustrating when I can't somehow drag my dipshit teammates out of their hot drop bullshit. Like, uh, it's that shit's annoying as fuck to me. So then when you queue for fucking 2 minutes, you get into a game, you pick your legend, and then they immediately make you jump directly below. They die, they insta disconnect, and so it doesn't like
Yeah.
it's just you, and you're like, well, I guess it doesn't fucking matter. Like what I do here, I'll do my best, but like this one's cooked, and then yeah, you get fucking jumped by 3 cunts. And so you're back to the 2-minute queue again. It's like, for fuck's sake. Like, this seemed like a big waste of time.
Yeah.
So now I think
Whereas
everyone's
Warzone, we can lose a fight and it doesn't matter.
yeah,
Like we can
exactly.
we
Like,
hot drop in Warzone all the time. Like every round we hot drop, but
yeah,
it doesn't matter if we lose a fight because we keep playing. We're
yeah,
back
exactly.
in. Yeah.
And like, if there's only one person left, that's actually fun. Like the new fucking, I think the most wanted thing might be a bit too OP. It should give you money if it doesn't revive anyone,
Hmm.
or it should revive your teammates. It shouldn't give you money and revive everyone. That's pretty wild. But it winds up having some fucking cool like instances. Like it leads to some fucking lame shit. You and me were playing yesterday, and I just hid in fucking the
Oh.
fire station tower for fucking 2 minutes. No, 3 minutes. All 3 minutes while I waited for the most wanted, so that you'd spawn back in, and then we fucking got our shields and hid in the corner for fucking 6 minutes or some
10
shit.
minutes. And the moment we walked out the door, you got shot at.
Fucking, you are fucking kidding. I could not believe that shit. That was fucking ridiculous. But yeah, it was pretty funny as well. But yeah, no, like me and Nate have been playing duos as well, and like we do that most wanted shit all the time. Like when one of us, like if we get wiped as a team and one of us wins the gulag and the other one doesn't,
Hmm.
we hit spacebar to float, and then we find a fucking most wanted, and that's it. That's the game plan. Like that is the instant game plan: is find a most wanted and go for that.
Yeah.
Because you don't even have to pay to buy them back in. You just drag them back in, as long as you fucking live long enough, and it's exciting as fuck. Like they've done a real good job with that fucking bounty or mission rather, like real good job. So yeah, I just find it more exciting, more opportunities to come back. But yeah, I'm not playing with randos either. If I'm solo queuing, I'm playing Rainbow Six. I'm having a lot of fun with Rainbow at the moment. I'm still playing with everything on mute. With everyone else on mute. It seems just to be the way to go. I did have one game where it seems like if everyone cycles out, like everyone fucking leaves, when the new people come in, I have to remute, and I've not noticed that a couple of times now.
Okay.
And like most of the time, people aren't actually dickheads, but I just don't want to fucking deal with the very few times when they are dickheads. Honestly, just fuck it. Yeah. I think Rainbow's in a really good place. I just think the addition of Malusi makes it fucking top notch. She's just a really interesting character for me to play as. Playing against her on fucking offense is really cool. Heavily incentive. Like I think Ash was probably already overpicked, but now like she can actually really change the landscape of a fucking site. Like ashing Malusi is a great way to fucking dismantle or stop her from ruining an entry, and you can Kali that shit as well. I've been taking Kali in a couple of times, just usually when it's meme time. I'll just take Carly in and fucking take out Malusi's. But yeah, no, it's good. It's a good game. I enjoy it. But yeah, anyway.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And the last one on the list is theHunter.
Yeah.
Call of the Wild. Is that the full thing? Yeah, Call of the Wild. So you were talking about Ultimate Fishing Simulator VR last week.
Yes.
And then somehow we got on a discussion of theHunter. And you hadn't actually played the sequel, which was theHunter Call of the Wild. You played the original one.
Yeah.
On this one. And so after we finished recording, you bought it for some reason, even though it was a free to play weekend. You bought like the whole pack.
Well, it was also 80% off or some shit. So
yeah,
it seemed like a
ton of DLC.
Yeah. I didn't get the full pack. I got the 2019 pack. So
right.
like 10 DLC as opposed to the 30 or so that are available. But yeah.
We played for a couple hours. I had a lot of fun.
A couple of hours. Me too. This game is pretty fucking good. We played for 6 hours. According to my Steam, we played for 6 hours. And yeah, this game's pretty fucking good. I mean, yeah, shit. It's just it's weird how addictive it is. Like, because a lot of it is just walking really slow somewhere, and then
yeah, like really slow.
And then it's just fucking go time, and you just okay, cool, let's do it. Let's have some fun. And yeah, like we were splitting up a fair bit, like splitting off into different areas of the fucking the forest that we were hunting through. Yeah. And yeah, it was weird. Like every now and then you'd be like crouch walking through some trees and stuff, and then you'd hear this fucking and like Luke would be fucking, oh yeah, here we go. And like fucking he's chasing after some fucking, I don't know, a moose or a family of moose or some shit. Or like, how many fucking bears did you kill? Like, meanwhile I'm like sitting here like, there's a
duck,
there's another rabbit, I'm gonna kill this fucking rabbit, yay. And then the boom would go off somewhere, and I'd like fucking look around, see like where on the map you are, and then I'd turn back and the rabbit's fucking gone. I'm like, oh, come on. But yeah, it's a strangely compelling game. I remember because I went back, I played it a little bit after after we wrapped, so maybe we didn't play for 6 hours together, but I was probably 5 hours together. I was playing through it and like sort of reading guides and like looking into how to be better.
Oh, no.
And
you've gone down the hole.
a little bit down the hole. I was just wondering why you were so much more successful at finding shit. I think it's just random chance.
It's about knowing like the areas, because once you so you got a map, right? And at least for you, I don't think it's consistent. Like if I go into your world and do something, it doesn't save, which is a bit shit. Right. But if you go into your world and you're like, remember you built you built like a nest or something.
Hide, yeah.
Where you can sort of set up in a perch and then scout out the area and sort of sit there and use like your deer caller and hopefully call some deers in. So like that'll save and it's persistent. Or you can find like a feeding area, and then it's all about exploration. And then coming back at a later time and looking at your map and being like, all right, well, there's a feeding area over here. I know that the bears will be there between 7 and 2 p.m. So I'll go that way, and then I can go up here after I'm done with that. So I think the initial part of the game is like just exploring and finding things. And then it's about like, all right, well, how do I maximize my trophy system and score and money and that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of learning.
And I was looking at guns and stuff and seeing if like, because it feels pretty slow in the progression, but it seems like the weapons don't make that big a difference. Like the difference between our starting weapons and late game weapons
Hmm.
isn't all that huge. Like we can get like it's a question of penetration. Like the main problem that we have with our guns at the moment is that we're not doing a lot of penetration. But if we spend some money, we can buy the ammo that
Yeah.
does higher penetration, and that's a case that's a situation where we would be able to use that to like take down some animals that are a bit
Thicker.
tougher, provided we're hitting the right like angles
Hmm.
and right spots. Which yeah, I think is a good thing. I mean, it feels directly contrasted to the fishing game where the progression system like directly like we could use the starting fucking guns to take down bigger stuff. We did. Like we took down moose and bears with our starting shit. But in the fishing game, you just can't catch big fish until you've got like you're up a bunch of levels. Like it just doesn't happen. And I'm not expecting to be able to take down fucking I don't know, like elephants or something. I don't think you can hunt elephants, and I
I think
probably
there's
wouldn't be
different
keen to
scales
anyway. But
of the animals as well. Like the bears we were getting were like easy bears, or
yeah,
I think there's different reserves that it like ups their game. Like you'll need to start wearing your scent hider and getting better camo, and coming at them from a different angle. But we did the starter reserve, and it's like here's an easy mode. You kind of just want to fuck around and
yeah.
do stupid shit.
And it
We'll
works,
let you.
right? And so it feels like the way to level up is by getting better at the game, whereas in the fishing game, it felt like the way to level up was to manually level up in the slowest way fucking possible,
Yeah,
which I think is exactly what I want. I think the hunter does it way better than the
yeah.
fishing game.
I think the old
Um,
hunter was doing that a lot. Like even if you put it in perspective what you're talking about now, rather than you just hunting fucking rabbits for 15 hours, we didn't have to do that. We could go hunt the bears and the moose and the coyotes. Like we could go do what we wanted to do. Whereas
yeah,
if it was like a traditional game, it's like, all right, you've got to hunt rabbits for, a couple hours, and then baby deers, like, and then does, and then you like work your way up to the point where you're like, let's go get some bears, or
yeah,
lions and warthogs and whatever else there
yeah,
was.
yeah. Yeah, I got a fucking sweet coyote kill. I still haven't worked out why that was worth so many
I
fucking
think it
points.
was one of those. Must have been a rare one, like the different ratings on it or something.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It was running at me too. It was coming for me.
Yeah.
It was gonna fuck. It was coming right for me, and I fucking cow. I didn't die to it like you died to that moose. That was fucking hilarious. Luke got run over by a moose.
That you scared.
That I startled. You can't shoot your the other hunters, but you can scare animals into them. It was we moved to the savannah, the African fucking savannah, and yeah, there was like stampede, which was pretty fucking freaky. Like that's a pretty cool fucking mechanic.
Hmm.
There's like literally just hundreds of fucking water buffalo or bison or whatever the fuck they're called. Uh Cows. And yeah, they're just fucking running, but the rumbling sound as they move and the way it gets louder as they get closer and stuff. It puts some panic into you. Like you're staring at these fucking like you hear it
Yeah.
move past these trees and you hear it get a bit louder. You're like, are they coming this way? And you
Yeah.
start to like fucking
Because I could
hope
hear
they
it, but
hold
I
on.
couldn't see it. It was just over near you. I was like, is that a stampede?
Yeah,
Like, that's what
yeah,
it sounds like. And it was,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, man,
yeah,
they've done a lot of that game since I played it. I was playing it back in early access or when I bought into it because I really liked the original game. We played a bunch of it, and it was fun getting. It was only two of us playing. We jumped in there, but when we were playing the original, there was times where there was like 4 or 5 of us running around a
yeah,
reserve and that sort of thing. And a lot of that was very much like the sort of old style of working your way up. Like you couldn't go hunt really bears and that sort of thing. straight off the bat. But
Yeah.
this one, I think my biggest complaint when I played it a while back was that it didn't run that great. It was a
Yeah.
little bit choppy, and the multiplayer system was not what I wanted. It didn't do a good job of like tracking scores and that sort of thing. And also, I wanted some sort of system in there of like a tournament, and they've got that in there now, and it's really good. Like you can, so we can get in our crew and be like, all right, let's set up a tournament, and you click on. There's tons in there now. I was looking through, and you could do like a, get a certain amount of trophies or based off a score or whatever. It was nowhere near as deep as what it is now, which is pretty cool. So that's
Yep.
kind of the one thing that I kind of wanted out of it, which it looks like they've done, which is awesome. But I wish the other thing is the progression. I wish the progression was a bit better, so that like if I came into your game and I built something that,
Yeah.
or I discovered something, and I haven't gone back to check it, but I'm pretty sure I read that it's not persistent. So like if I'm in your world and I do stuff, it's saving to
Yeah.
your world and not back onto my game.
Yeah.
I have to. I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure on that, but that's what I sort of gathered from what I read. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, man. It's really good. I like that they just keep adding more and more content to it. Like, this seems like there's tons of different sort of reserves you can go after and different animals to sort of find. And yeah, I'd be keen to jump in and check out what else there is, or fucking set up a tournament or something. I don't know.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Yeah. And I like the fact that we could, like, there was one spot where I ended up killing something, and we hadn't been walking with each other for like half an hour or something, like 40 minutes. And this thing had been shot by you at one stage. Like, it had like 6 bullets in it. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel like I wound up leaving a lot of fucking ammunition just sort of in animals out in the wild of the hunter, like just fucking out, just hanging out. Because some of the fucking stuff I shot, it fucking moved. It
Oh,
like
yeah. The
that
bears are
one you're
quick.
talking about. Holy shit! Like I shot that thing, and you were kilometers away from me, and you like, oh, here's a bear. Why does it say you shot this bear? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding? And it had to be the one that I was like,
They move
yeah,
quick. But
they
also, you move
fucking,
very slow.
oh yeah, yeah. Even when you're sprinting, you're still very fucking slow.
Like, I'll probably pull up the clip on the video podcast, but the clip of the bear that fucking charges me down, like I shoot it, I hear something behind me. What's not in the clip is we're at like a feeding ground out the front of like a lake where we were
Yeah,
tracking moose, and I shot a moose, and they ran off to the right, and I heard something behind me. I spin around, and there's a bear like walking, and it's a decent distance away. I quickly shoot it, and it flips the fuck out. Like, I hit it. Well, I thought I hit it in the chest, but I don't think I did. And
trophy up.
it immediately charges me, and it gets to me in like a couple of seconds. I'm reloading my gun at this stage, my bullet, and the moment the gun finishes reloading, I just click the button. I don't scope or anything because it's that close, and it shoots it right in the head. And I looked at you can pick up a trophy and it sort of examine it and see like the score you got, and where the bullets hit, and what organs you penetrate and that sort of thing. And like the first one, it was like 1% flesh, and then it was like 99% skull or brain shot or something. I was like, fuck, like, yeah, they just run so quick, some of those animals,
Yeah.
that you just have to, if you don't hit them the first time, you're gonna have to pray you get them the second time.
I wish it would like share the details. Like I wish it shared those details a bit more.
Yeah, because I can't see them.
I would, yeah, you can't see them when I do it, and you can't see it when I no, I can't see it when you do it, and like, yeah, like I would love to see all the details of your kill and stuff. I reckon that'd
Yeah.
be fucking cool.
Maybe there is a way. I just haven't found it. I
You just
couldn't
haven't worked
find it
it out.
in the menus.
True.
But
Yeah.
it notifies you when someone picks it up, like you get experience and that sort of stuff. So anyway, yeah, a lot of fun. I dug it. I'm not sure who else. I think Heath and Drew have it. Um, I don't know,
Cool.
but I doubt they'd jump on the same time that we were playing.
True.
Yeah. Anyway, the Hunter, Call of the Wild,
The
on sale. Is that it? That's it for games.
That's it for games. Good
Should we
effort.
do some news?
Let's do it.
What do we got? Have a quick drink. Cyberpunk 2077. We had the Nightwire event. Is that what it's called? I wrote here Citywire event.
Night City Wire?
Night Citywire event, where they did a presentation of the game. And this seems to be a recurring thing they're going to be doing every once in a while. On top of that, there was some embargoes dropped for previews. Media and content creators got about 4 or 5 hours hands-on with the game from the very start, it sounds like.
Yep.
Up until a certain section of the game. And yeah, did you end up watching this stream or this video thing?
I did.
Was it
Yeah.
kind of
And
what
I
you
watched,
expected?
kinda what I expected, I guess.
It seems very like Rockstar-y, like what, but with a bit more personality, maybe. Yeah, like Rockstar would do their Red Dead Redemption things, and like here's a gameplay sort of element, and we're going to talk about shooting, and it's just someone sort of narrating all the different ways you can interact. I felt like that was very similar to this, but with a host and the developers and like some interview sort of style communication, and then also like here's 15 minutes of gameplay of this new thing we haven't seen before, and sort of how that works. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was like they did a really good job of it. I don't know if I want to watch too many more. I like if they're doing more of it, I kind of want to go in as fresh as possible because like from the I watched Adam Matthews preview session.
So did I. It was excellent. His
was awesome.
His preview was really good. His video on his channel.
Yeah, I thought that was fucking sick, and like, and I read his preview as well, and like the impression I got was that like it's a game where things open up as you learn what you're capable of. Like you sort of do things in a very rigid way, sort of trapped in the conventions of the genre, and then as you learn more about the game and what's possible in the game, you're able to experiment more. And I think a lot of the fun is in that experimentation. And so I don't necessarily want to learn too much more. Does that make sense? Like I want to fucking learn it myself while I'm playing, type thing.
Yeah.
Which won't happen if I keep watching fucking previews that tell me everything possible. But yeah.
So they showed off the brain dance mechanic, which is sort of like the Batman Arkham detective mode stuff that will get you to do. Or I've heard people refer to it sort of like a Detroit, like the detective stuff you did in Detroit Become Human.
Yeah, but better.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
No,
yeah, I don't know.
Legit, it's like a better version of it because, like, the Detroit thing was basically just pressing a play and rewind button, right?
Yeah.
Like, this actually has you, like, you know, looking at the security camera or fucking like tapping into different elements. Whereas,
Yeah.
Detroit was super fucking rigid. I mean, I guess it was panning around and stuff, but yeah.
The one concern that I have is that out of all of the previews that I was listening to and reading, that was the one thing people walked away saying they didn't really care for, was the brain dance stuff. So I don't know. Maybe it gets better.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it does seem like it's a system that would be like there should be a lot of depth available. So
Hmm.
yeah, hopefully they grow it a lot more over time, but we'll just have to wait and see. That like what they showed seemed very much a tutorial. And even in some of the trailer, like in that new trailer, it seemed like it was hinting at some more elaborate stuff in it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
We learned about things like new starting areas for depending on which character you sort of picked,
Yep.
which is interesting. And I guess what they're trying to do is give players the option to be like, hey, you can play this game as, you know, a street rat or whatever street kid. I can't remember the specific name. And like it'll be a different experience to you playing as like a corporate or something like that. So you can go like a multiple playthroughs and as opposed to just playing like a normal RPG like The Witcher or something like that, where it's generally the same sort of story up until most of the game, unless you go and explore a bit. Whereas there's some deviation there and a bit more flexibility. I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see how that stuff sort of pans out, like when we actually get to play it. How different people's experiences are. And I saw Alana Pierce is doing a podcast tonight where she's got a bunch of other media people that got to play it, where they'll be talking
Right.
about like their experience. Because yeah, like I said, it gave you 3 different options and 3 different starting areas, and like how different is one person's experience from the other person's. That's kind of what I'm interested to see. So I'll definitely check out that podcast a bit later, just to sort of get a gauge of how different it will actually matter in terms of those choices. But yeah, I feel like I'm going to be kind of like you. I don't know if I need to watch any more of these. I'm sort of sold on it, and I'm keen to
Yeah.
just experience it when it comes out. Hopefully this year. I don't think it's going to be delayed again. It doesn't make sense if they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the news that I saw come out today was that someone asked one of the developers about wall running, which is a feature we saw in the original gameplay trailer,
Yep.
released when the game was first debuted. And that's apparently been removed due to design issues. They couldn't get it to work properly.
Yep.
That was, if you recall, it was part of the gameplay demo where V was sort of in like a scaffolding on the roof and would wall run, and she'd use her mantis blades, I think mantis blades, to like stick into the wall and then like look down. And I think at that stage she like jumps on them and like does like an attack from above, like a takedown.
Yep.
Or maybe the other one that I saw was she sat on the wall and hacked the player, something like that. I've seen a bunch of these demos, but anyway, they've removed that wall running ability because apparently that's not gonna, that it wasn't working or something like that. This is like another sort of thing where people will be. I'm interested to see if we start seeing like, oh, the game's being downgraded, so to speak, coming down in at some stage, just because seems that's like a thing that gamers seem to get very angry about.
Yeah.
About
It's good to get
downgrades.
out in front of that shit.
Yeah.
Because it was otherwise inevitable. It was definitely coming.
Yep. All right. Yeah, definitely keen for that one. Next up, we got some Xbox Series X/X news. Xbox has missed another month of their monthly 2020 events that they were supposed to be doing. It still hasn't been one for a while. But according to a couple of different websites, there is a second Xbox Series SKU that is coming out, codenamed Lockhart, and it's going to be Xbox Series S, which will be revealed at August 2020. They're saying it's a smaller unit. It's going to have the same CPU as what's in the Series X, but it's going to be not as, I think it's going to be underclocked from what I was reading. This one's going to have 7.5 gigabytes of usable RAM as opposed to 13.5 on the Series X, and it's 4 teraflops of GPU, which will be targeting at least 1080p, possibly 1440p. The Series X is using 12 teraflops of GPU. So it seems like the biggest difference here is the RAM and the GPU capabilities of the device. But from all of these reports that are coming out, there's definitely a second unit. Whether or not that's going to be also if it's going to be a downloadable only type thing, or if it's more just a like, here's something that will play those games but just not at 4K, and it's going to be cheaper. I mean, that could end up being a really smart decision for them in the end if they're trying to, get people to buy early on this thing.
Yeah.
Because we've generally kind of started consoles with one SKU for the most part, right?
I like, I guess ignoring the PlayStation 5 dual SKU, the discless version, right?
Yeah, downloadable. Yeah.
But like, I think the PlayStation 5 version might be a smarter way to go about it, because you don't want to, like, you're immediately limiting it. Like, obviously it might be more affordable to get the Xbox Series S, but you're immediately limiting
What you
your
can do.
console's lifespan. Yeah, like, they're not gonna they're gonna build the life cycle of the console around the flagship console, right? So you are going to get games that work best on Series X throughout the lifetime, but also 7 years from now, games like that run on the Series X, right, might not go that well on the Series S. It'll be it's as if they unleashed like a light version right from the get-go. That is, I mean, this is all rumored, obviously. So, I mean, if they don't do this, then this is a
Yeah.
moot point. But I don't think this is a good idea, to be honest.
I mean, it could be a
Uh,
good idea in terms of how many people have 4K TVs. Like, if the base unit is targeting 4K 30 or 4K 60, fingers crossed, and they release a second unit, which is 1440p or 1080p for people that don't have those types of TVs, it could be a smart play for them if it's going to be significantly cheaper. Like, the numbers I saw throwing around were a lot cheaper, like more like half the price. That was some of the
all right,
rumors.
if it's half the price, yeah, maybe. I mean, shit, why not? I guess, but yeah, that only works if you never have any intention of getting a fucking 4K TV, which, like, I mean, I've run into this issue myself, right? Like, I'm like, oh, well, a 1070 is all I fucking need, right? Because I don't have any intention on going above 1080p with my monitor, because 4K monitors that run at a reasonable fucking refresh rate are fucking heinous. And then a 1440p monitor comes on sale that does G-Sync and fucking 144 hertz. I'm
Mm,
like, well, fucking thank you, but I can't even, like, first of all, I've got the monitor itself limited at 120 because I do not have a game that runs at 144 on my current rig, right? It just
right.
doesn't happen. But I can get Rainbow up to 120, so might as well lock it at 120. It's like, it runs well at that frame rate. Yeah, like, I've artificially limited myself. I didn't get a 1080. If I'd gotten a 1080, 1080 graphics card in the first place, I'd be able to maximize the use of my fucking monitor. But because I didn't, I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, half price. If it's half price, fucking, I'd say
I
about what I
mean,
said. It'd be worth it at half price. But I
yeah, I
just
don't know
think
if they go half price, but if it's $200
anything above,
difference.
let's talk percentage wise, right? If it's more than 60% of the cost of a regular one, I do not think you're making the right decision by going for the Series S. I understand obviously, money is what it is,
Yeah.
but it's you're just going to wind up paying more later when you inevitably get a 4K TV, because I don't think 4K is going away, right?
No.
There's no way that 4K is going away. So the only or in the next, if you think in the next 7 years you will not get a 4K TV, and it's above 60%, then fucking go for it. But if you think in the next 7 years you will get a 4K TV and it's above 60%, I think you need to maybe rethink it, and just hold out a little bit, save up a bit more money and get a Series X. Because at the end of the day, they're probably going to sell out fucking week one anyway. So
yeah, I think that's where Xbox has the upper hand in terms of pricing, because they now have the ability to be like, we've got a cheap unit. Like, at the end of the day, Xbox is going to have a cheap unit just because of the fact of what they're doing. Sony has this digital-only device. The price difference between that and the standard version is not going to be a lot. Like, I've seen, what's the difference? How much does a fucking disk drive cost? Because that's all that's been removed.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. But all I'm saying is, like, from a fucking consumer advice perspective,
Yeah,
I think the Series S would be too limited. You just got to think, like, it's so easy to think about these consoles in the fucking moment, in the fucking, what am I going to play today, right?
yeah.
Oh, I'm going to play, well, I don't know what the fuck you're going to play on Xbox, but Forza 15 or some shit. But like
Minecraft Dungeons.
Minecraft Dungeons in glorious 1080p. It's so easy to think about it like fucking on launch, right? But it is a trick. The trick is to consider the fucking platform 7 years from now. Consider the platform. Consider that both Sony and Xbox refreshed their consoles halfway through the fucking life cycle of this generation with more powerful versions, right? And then consider what the Series S will look like against the Series X or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
The Xbox One X version of the Series X, because they won't make an Xbox One X version of the Series S. They will just make a more powerful, the PlayStation Pro version of the Series X, of the Sex. That's what's going to happen. So 4 years from now, you're going to have the Sex Pro, right? You're not going to have a SES Pro. And so your SES will be that much weaker in comparison. They make games for PlayStation Pro primarily now. Fucking The Last of Us 2 works best on PlayStation Pro. They want you to review it on PlayStation Pro. They want you to experience the best version of it. And it's not to say that it's like the thing is, like, the regular PlayStation 4 still runs The Last of Us Part 2 phenomenally, but not as good as the Pro. And I think that's just something to consider, right? Like, if the regular version of the PlayStation runs it fine, right, 7 years down the track, what would the inferior version of the PlayStation 4 run it like 7 years down the track? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see these two go battle. Yeah. Who jumps first in this price? Because we're still waiting.
Playing the longest game of chicken of all time.
Yeah, I mean, this June, we're at July now, so August next month. I think we're going to start seeing prices. I think that's the longest they can hold out is next month.
Yeah.
If they want to start getting pre-orders and that sort of stuff in before November.
Yeah.
Because then they've got 3 months until release, basically.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we've got, I slipped some of these in here. We got PlayStation reveals 9 new indie titles coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Did you have a chance to check out any of these yet?
No.
I'll quickly run through some of the list. We've got Worms Rumble, which seems to be like a like a battle royale worms game, multiplayer game.
Oh yeah, I saw the trailer for this, like real time or some shit, right?
Haven, which is a co-op adventure game. Introducing Cardo, which is, I think that's the name of it. I've not watched a lot of these, which is a puzzle adventure game coming to PlayStation 4. We've got a hacking themed platformer called Recompile, which is coming to PlayStation 5. Where the Heart Is, which is a narrative adventure coming next year to PlayStation 4. Marquette, which is a first-person puzzle game similar to a Fisherman's Tale. And
Cool.
what was the other game that was like that as well? Maybe Subliminal, I think that was called, where it sort of plays with your perspective.
Right.
But yeah, very much Fisherman's Tale vibe, like, but not in VR. Fist, which is an action platformer, coming to PlayStation 4. Another one was Heavenly Bodies, which is a game we've talked about on this show. Yeah, it's an Australian game where you play as like a space astronaut. You're doing weird things with your hands and grabbing things, and it's going to be available in co-op as well. And yeah, a couple other games. I don't have the full list here, and I haven't watched all of them, but looks like they're focusing on some indie stuff, which is cool because Sony has been a bit lackluster in terms of supporting indie games, and Microsoft has really been taking a lot of those under their wings.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to see them sort of branching out and going a bit deeper in that sort of stuff. Anyway, you can go check out those trailers on the PlayStation blog if you've not seen them yet. And then lastly, the last piece of news I put on here because I want to talk about it quickly was the cover athletes for NBA 2K21. They have revealed 2 of the 3 that are coming out. First one is Damian Lillard from Portland.
Right.
Good choice. Top 5 basketball player for a very long time.
Everyone loves Dame.
Dame time. The second one is Zion Williamson, which I do not agree with at all, being cover athlete.
Well,
what are your thoughts?
He's certainly the new hotness, and he seems to love NBA. But I don't know. I haven't bought into the Zion hype yet, so I think he's definitely a great player.
Sure, but I think my biggest issue is that I don't think he's proven himself yet in the NBA. We're talking about a player that's played less than 20 games in the NBA so far because he was injured.
I mean, and for other reasons, he hasn't had as much opportunity.
Yeah.
Like they set this shit up way earlier. Like really early in the piece. Like, I don't know if they couldn't have predicted that nobody would be allowed to play basketball fucking forever.
I mean, yeah, I guess we have to see what involvement he has in the game, if any.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like they could have picked someone different. Like he's a rookie that hasn't played that many games because he was injured, and just feels a bit cheap for some of the other players that could have been a bit more deserving, at least. To me,
last one they're gonna do.
I think it's gonna be Kobe.
It's gonna be Kobe, right?
Probably, yeah.
I think people would be mad upset. I don't like. Could you imagine if you were like, yeah? Is there any legend who would want to be on the cover when everyone else is screaming out for Kobe?
I think they do Kobe and they do some sort of charity event around it in terms of a certain amount of the proceeds go to, my guess would be some women's basketball or something like that. Like a percentage of the sales, and then that's what they do with it. If they're not doing some sort of charity event around that cover, then they're going to cop some shit. I feel like. So
yeah,
that's I haven't seen if there's any leaks or anything yet.
Yeah.
But that would be my guess.
Yep.
All right.
Got it.
That's
Cool.
the news.
Sweet.
We got any questions?
Let's do questions. I've got the blip. Oh, it's Fridge Monster Man. Hi, Luke. Hi, Joab. So now that the Last of Us spoiler embargo has been lifted, what do you think its purpose was? Did Sony really put the embargo in place to keep the story under wraps, or was it part of the marketing department's hype machine? Oh,
Is
okay,
that a
interesting
question?
one.
That's the question.
That's the question.
Uh,
So
I got some insight
I
into this.
oh, okay.
Not
Let's hear it.
like behind the closed door scene, but because I've been listening to a bunch of podcasts.
Yeah.
One of them, Neil Druckmann, was on. It was a Naughty Dog decision, the NDA. It wasn't Sony, so
Yeah.
it was sounds like his decision to have a lot of those embargoes in there, specifically related to story beats. And I don't know, dancing around it without spoiling certain things. I do agree that there is stuff in there that you need to avoid to sort of have such an impact on the player, but it can be tricky to sort of handle that properly.
Like
This,
what can you hint at what you're talking about a bit more?
I think the first big reveal
Yeah.
should be avoided.
No. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. If your story doesn't work, right? If your fucking narrative doesn't work, if someone reveals something that happens in the first, like, imagine if you were writing a fucking, oh my God. Like, imagine you were writing a fucking TV show and you're like, oh, but you can't reveal what happens in, it's a fucking episode of Law and Order, right? And you're not allowed to reveal what happens before the fucking bing bong Law and Order fucking title screen. You're not allowed to reveal what happens in the cold open. That's fucking horseshit. Get the fuck out of here. No, if your narrative doesn't work because people can't reveal what happened in the cold open, you didn't fucking write it correctly, and you should.
It's not a Law and Order
you should be
episode though.
about it.
It's a sequel to one of the most critically acclaimed PlayStation 3 games. You should be connecting it something to similar, like I don't know, fucking Avengers, Infinity War, or something like that, where, or even Infinity War, where there's, before the fucking Avengers like logo flashes on the screen, you've got a giant scene that happens and stuff happens in that scene that is really important. Like, using that, spoiling it for people, I feel like is a fucking dick punch.
Get the fuck
You're
out of
ruining
here.
that
You should be
surprise
allowed
to
to
people.
say, no, fuck that. That's not a surprise, right? That is setting tone. That is setting the fucking stage. Like, get out of here with that shit. That is the fucking writing of the story. You cannot fucking restrict people from talking about the fact that Loki fucking dies. Get the fuck out of here. That's ridiculous. That's the story. That is what is set up, right? That is everything that is why everything else happens, why things play out the way they do. That informs the rest of it. You can't stop people from fucking talking about that shit. That's crazy. Like, I wholeheartedly disagree. You have to be able to fucking talk about these things because otherwise you can't talk about anything. How the fuck, like, I gotta spend fucking how many fucking words dancing around the fact that this is a fucking revenge tale. And it's a revenge arc. It's a revenge story. Why? Why is Ellie trying to get revenge? Can't say. Can't say, but trust me, she wants revenge, and it's fucking fully justified within the context of the fucking story itself. No, fuck that shit. No. That is why she wants revenge. That's why she wants revenge for a very specific reason. I realize now that by saying revenge and like, I mean, that's the other thing. You can work that shit out using context clues, right? Like basic context clues. If you can't work it out, and like if your theory is, well, yeah, you can work it out using context clues, so it's fine. Just use context. Fuck that shit. If I'm allowed to use context, then I'm allowed to use fucking straight up words. Because if they can work it out via context, then that's enough, right? I see a case for not spoiling the second half. right? I see a case for it. I don't agree, right? Because I think you restrict the critic too much without them possibly knowing what they're getting into. If it felt like a fucking bait and switch in the embargo itself, let alone the fucking actual bait and switch of the story itself, right? But I can see an argument there. There is no argument, which is why I spoiled the fuck out of it in my review on the gapodcast.com, because like I spoiled the fuck out of that first reveal. I don't agree. I do not agree. I mean I couched it in spoiler talk, but I don't agree that you shouldn't be allowed to talk about that. It happens too early in the game. It's not fucking Bruce Willis wearing a hairpiece at the end of the Sixth Sense. It is the crux of it. That's it.
But I think the difference here is that it's coming out a week before anybody else gets a chance to see it. There's people out there that don't want to know that stuff. And I think it's fine, like what we did, where once the game is released, then fuck it. It's like game on, just spoilers are free to go. But which you ended up getting rid of all the redactions and that sort of stuff. But I think like having something that's a week early and major story beats that are there to shock and surprise people, like it wouldn't have as big of an impact.
If your writing can't have as big an impact because they're not allowed to be fucking surprised, like, write it better. That's the whole fucking point, is that you're just supposed to be better at writing.
Well, can't you be better at writing to talk around it then as an argument?
Get the fuck out of here. I shouldn't have to be. I should, like, you can't fucking restrict me from critically analyzing a fucking thing and then also, oh, okay, so we want you to critically analyze this piece of art, right? But you can't talk about more than half of it, right? No. I can actually be better at writing, and I got around it, didn't I? Didn't I fucking make it work? Yes, I fucking did. But I shouldn't have had to, right? Everyone who wrote about it shouldn't have had to. Every single person who reviewed it and wrote 10 out of 10 reviews, but people felt they weren't justified in the text because they weren't able to fucking justify it in the text. Cool. Thanks for that, Neil. Thanks for throwing us a fucking hospital pass, Neil. I'm sorry that you weren't capable of fucking writing your story with some impact without having to literally shock people into it. Like, the reason The Sixth Sense, right? The Sixth Sense is a film that hinges on its twist, right? But you go back and watch The Sixth Sense afterwards, or Unbreakable, right? These films where, oh, so good. Oh, the twist is so amazing. And then you go back and watch them afterwards. You're like, actually, it's a really fucking good movie. Holy shit. It's a really good movie and it's got a great twist. And when I watch it again, knowing the twist, it hasn't ruined the movie, right? Bad movies are the ones where if you know the twist, you're like, oh, fuck this shit. I don't give a fuck anymore. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. I get it. Yeah. It was Earth all along. That's unfair to Planet of the Apes, but it does sort of.
I thought you were talking about The Happening.
I mean, holy fuck. The Happening is a fantastic fucking example of this. From the same writer, no less. Like, it is. It's a spectacular example of exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it's a bad fucking movie. And like, once it all, you're like, or Signs. No, not Signs. Signs was fine.
Signs good.
The Village. Was it The Village? The one where they're just like, oh my fucking God. Yeah. That's fucking
Did you nearly ruin The Village?
I very fucking nearly did. I didn't because, I want to respect, the shock that people will have when they work out that they wasted 2 hours of their fucking life watching it. But yeah, like that's exactly it, right? Like, if it's a good fucking, then it doesn't matter if something that happens before the cold open is spoiled for anyone. Argue all you will, and I will listen. At least I will debate as like to the ends of the earth about whether or not the second half of The Last of Us 2 should be spoiled. But to me, the only thing that shouldn't be spoiled in a review is the fucking end of a game. You shouldn't talk about how it ended. You can talk about how the ending made you feel. I felt underwhelmed by the end of The Last of Us Part 2, but you shouldn't talk about how it specifically ended. I'm still respecting the concept of the second half of being a spoiler, I guess, in The Last of Us Part 2, but personally, what is a spoiler for The Last of Us Part 2 is the ending itself.
Right.
That last sequence, or the last 5 endings in The Last of Us Part 2, as it were, because it fucking ends over and over again.
Is it before, like just after the aliens show up?
Just after the aliens, yes.
Okay.
Not before.
Not before.
I think you should be allowed to talk about the aliens.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was silly that we weren't allowed to, but embargo's up now.
It's
so
ridiculous.
I remember Batman Arkham. Which one did I review? Arkham City. That embargo was we weren't allowed to talk about the start of that game, which was you played as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I thought that was dumb.
Yeah, that was
I
dumb.
got in trouble for making fun of that.
Okay.
Got a
Spider-Man had some stuff in there, but I think those ones were very justified.
Like, I don't have a problem with the Spider-Man ones, or even like the God of War, right? God of War didn't want you to talk about the nature of I don't know, boy's parentage and stuff, Like,
okay, yeah.
I don't have a problem with that shit, right? I'm pretty fucking fine with that. I think because of how that is revealed, it's revealed at the 29th hour of a 30-hour long game, right? Not in the fucking third hour. No, not even the third hour. The fucking second hour of a fucking 29-hour game. Like, yeah. And yeah, I thought playing as Bruce Wayne should have been fucking talked about. I actually did talk about it at length on I did a full fucking feature article on it, which got me a sternly worded email. But like that shit's fucking that shit's dumb. Spider-Man made sense because of the nature of the, again, like, you didn't find that shit out until the fucking final act. I don't have a problem with stuff that's not to be revealed until the final act. That's fine. But that's the story arc, right? Like, revealing it early also doesn't make sense in the context. Like, there is, I mean, if we've learned anything from fucking the conversation around The Last of Us Part 2, it's that there are, like, so much of that game hinges on fucking context. And there's so much context that doesn't come from just things being revealed to you out of fucking context. But, like, and that's why everyone's upset about, Ellie doesn't grow and blah, 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 blah. But like, that's fucking patently untrue. She absolutely does. And you see it. It just doesn't happen in fucking cutscenes. It happens in her chatter with other characters while she's playing through the fucking game. Like, yeah. Anyway.
All right. Any other questions? Was that it?
Oh, he continues. Oh, by the way, I tried that pasta dish with anchovies, and goddamn, it's amazing. I just swapped out the bacon for chicken, which bolted up a bit. Next time, I think I'll try it with a barbecue chook. I'm going to try it with a barbecue chook. I'm going to do olives, anchovies. I'm going to do full pizza in a pasta dish. It's my dream. I love that you've taken me down this path, Fridge Monster Man. Anyway, you didn't finish on a question, so
yeah, shouldn't answer that last one.
I shouldn't have answered. I shouldn't have said anything.
All right. And that is the show. We're The Gap. You can find us on iTunes, Android, Windows Store, Spotify, YouTube, all those places where you get your podcasts from under The Gap, the GA podcast, The Gap podcast. Please rate and review the show if you have a moment. It helps other people find it. If you would like to send us any questions, you can email us, thegapodcast@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, thegapodcast.com/Discord. and that will take you to our Discord page where you can leave us questions or play games or talk about video game spoilers, which is now set up in there. So you can go do that if you want. I think Heath was being a bit of a dickhead in there and just writing random shit, which is classic Heath. Good stuff. If you would like to find us on social media, we're at facebook.com/GA podcast, twitter.com/GA podcast. You can go to our YouTube page, thegapodcast.com/YouTube, if you want to watch this video as well. This week, I'll chuck up some Warzone and some Hunter, and anything else that I can think of that we can find. You can also go to our website, thegapodcast.com. It's got links to everything we talked about today, including past episodes of the show. You can also go and, I don't know, do whatever you want on there. It's a website. Click on things. I click on things sometimes.
I don't. I never click on anything.
Yeah.
Make it a personal point of pride to not click on things.
Yeah. And that is all thanks to our Patreon members. They help support the show and the website. If you would like to help do that as well, you can go to patreon.com/GA podcast. So thank you to everyone that is a monthly member. Helps us pay the bills. And have you got anything you'd like to pimp out for this week that you've been working on?
No.
Cool. You on Twitter?
On Twitter, at JobyJojo. Go check out there's a video that I talked about before. What was it about? I don't know. I'll retweet our video of us playing Heavenly Bodies from last year.
Ah, okay. We were on this.
We played this shit ages ago.
We were here first. Maybe they listened to our podcast and were like, let's do it. Let's hook them up. Yeah. You can find me, twitter.com/Luke Lawrie, Lawrie. That is it for this week. We're back next week with more video games. I don't know what, but we'll figure it out. See you then.
Bye.